Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are live for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, as it's another Do It For Dale Series race in the Busch Series side of things as we head to Bristol under the lights for the third night over the last 4 days, and for back-to-back nights, drive it as Dale Earnhardt Jr. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into today's full race live stream, live commentary for today's action. 250 laps around the world's fastest half mile and 10 races to go into crowning a Busch Series champion on this 2005 season. And right now, Clint Bowyer comes in with a 216-point lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of other drivers very close behind Dale Jr. in the point standings as well. You have to go back to 7th place in points. That would still be within 2 race worths of Clint Bowyer himself. But can Bowyer maintain this lead for the final 10 races of the season? We will see. And we're about to get into tonight's action for the running of the Food City 250 live on KRC. Qualifying is about to begin right here, right now. No practice heading into tonight's race. And we'll see if Dale Jr. can set the fastest lap. Rod G, Billy Kramer, and others, welcome into the stream. Who will be leading the field to the green tonight, and will we see a glitch like we had in the Cup race last night, where we may see drivers pit every 38 to 39 laps? We didn't see it in the truck race. We saw it in the Cup race under the lights at Bristol. We didn't see it in the Day Cup race earlier in the year. We didn't see it in the Busch Series race earlier this season as well, but maybe in the nighttime something different could happen. Pole time for Dale Jr. for the second straight night. He qualified on the pole and dominated the Cup race, and now he'll be on the pole today as well. His teammate Martin Truex Jr. will roll off in third. It looks like Clint Bowyer has qualified in the 8th place position for today's race. No setup change from qualifying to the race. That felt really, really good, really fast at that. Beast Mode Vader, welcome into the stream as well. Green flag is in the air. Dale Jr. will lead the field at Bristol. We're going to get this one underway in a hurry. Trying to go up and side drop Bobby Labonte in the banquet number 19 car on the outside. Trying to make sure he can hold him back. But a clean pass at that, and Dale Jr. will lead lap 1. Likely a 1 pit stop race today in this 250 lapper. This concrete half mile oval. Martin Truex Jr. going to get up to 2nd place. Carl Edwards, who won the last race at Michigan in the Busch Series, now to the inside of Martin Truex Jr. off of turn 4 for 2nd. And he's going to clear him off turn 2 and now has his eyes set at Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking for the lead early on. Bobby Labonte going to get right back around the 8 car as well, and maybe challenge to the inside of Edwards off turn 4 for 2nd also. A lot of battling for position going on already behind the race leader. Dale Jr. finished 42nd in the first Busch race at Bristol. It was by far his worst finish on a short track so far this season. The short tracks have been really good for him in both the Busch and the Cup Series. And even for myself in the Truck Series as well. Ron Hornaday. As far as this Busch race goes, he's looking for redemption from Bristol earlier this year. Ran out of gas with about 4 laps to go on a bad pit strategy in that race, which is what caused him to be short on fuel. And what ended up happening was that there was a caution right about the midway point, but it was just shy of halfway, which caused the field to have to pit. Dale Jr. didn't quite make it on gas to the end, as he pitted earlier than what he was intending on doing. Jerry Fasnat and Wade Solinsky, welcome into the stream. Michael Turner, welcome as well. Bobby Labonte looking to the inside. Jr. tried to crowd him in the middle of the corner, and Jr. gets turned by Edwards off of turn 2. Oh, no. It happened so fast. Bobby Labonte got to the lead. Edwards just got into him. I don't think Dale Jr. was of any fault there. Edwards gassed it up quickly to try to get inside the 81 car off the exit of turn 2, and he just hooked Dale Jr. I was looking at the replay to see if Jr. might have come down a little bit, but it didn't even look like it. Jr. cannot take fuel or tires under this pit stop being involved in the accident. Heavy damage to the front of the 81 car early on. Usually when you qualify well, you keep yourself out of trouble. for situations like that, but Carl Edwards has just dumped Dale Jr.
Nobody else decided to come in.
I have no clue exactly what that was all about. I mean, those two aren't rivals. Green flag's going to be back in the air, and Dale Jr. is going to be at the tail end of the field. So much for qualifying on the pole. He was able to lead laps early on. Labonte got to the inside because Jr. overdrove the corner and went wide. What a tough break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. These Busch races are not very long either. He's 216 points out at first. He does not need this. Bobby Labonte will be the leader on the restart at lap 12. As we are back to green flag racing following the first caution in the early going of today's race. We had 6 cautions in the Cup race last night. We had 2 separate runs of over 100 laps where we went green. Anita Luna, Noah Hall, welcome to the stream. Big stack up now. We've got trouble off turn 2. Nowhere for Dale Jr. to go as that happened quickly, and now that's going to stack up the field even more. Makes a couple passes, but he ran into the back of another car. I don't know what happened there. That was a major stack up. This race is just not going well for Dale Jr. right now, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of drivers racing with respect around here today. My goodness. Derek Booth, welcome to the stream. I'm lucky I didn't DNF, but no safer barrier on that inside wall where Dale Jr. hit. Nothing but concrete. He knows he's faster than the cars at the back of the pack and feels he's got one of the fastest cars in the field. Hopefully the damage hasn't taken too much speed out of this 81 car. He's going to have to make some quick moves. He's going to have to try to make passes as cleanly as he can as well. Trying to keep that nose clean that's already maybe a little bit soft. That blow into the inside wall when Edwards turned him. Carl Edwards is the leader right now. He took the lead a couple laps after the restart away from Bobby Labonte. Edwards trying to get his 5th win of the Busch Series season tonight. Of course, he's battling with Dale Jr. for the regular season title on the Cup Series side as their 1st and 2nd in points. Edwards not racing for points in the Busch Series, though. Racing for wins only and trying to go back-to-back at that. Dale Jr. coming off a 7th place finish at Michigan. He has had a streak in which he has finished in the top 7 in each of the last 8 races. That's the hot streak Dale Jr. is riding in the Busch Series right now. Overran the corner. Stuffed one car into the outside wall. It was up high on him. Because of that stack up on the restart, plus the fact that Dale Jr. was probably restarting about a half a lap behind the leaders, he is almost 10 seconds off the lead from Carl Edwards, who's got a lot of clean air in front of him, and Jr.'s trying to fight through traffic. And now we've got debris, and I think it was from Dale Jr. So because he brought out another caution, he's going to have to pit to put the hood back on. 2nd yellow of the race, and it's a debris caution for Dale Jr. And a lot of that damage obviously was in place from when he hit the inside wall, but then he also got into the back of another car with the stack up a lap after the restart. There were a couple other drivers that ran over the debris that might have to pit for fuel as well. Corey Freet, welcome into the stream. Mark DeMars, welcome in as well. Drama in the early going of our Food City 250 at Bristol. Dale Jr. got turned by Carl Edwards off turn 2 on about lap 9 while running in 2nd place. He was able to lead a couple laps from the pole before that. And now debris with more damage coming off of the 81 with the damage he had to the inside wall. There's nobody else really collected further back in the field in that single car spin earlier. It was right off the exit of turn 2 where Edwards had turned him. It didn't look like he was really close to just trying to file in line behind him and mistimed it. I think he just got back in the gas too soon and just kept driving up the track, and Earnhardt was obviously still there and hooked him perfectly down the racetrack. Green flag back in the air. Jr. going to lose those spots he gained on the restart. Another incentive to try and get through here cleanly so he doesn't have to worry about any more debris cautions on himself. Just going to bunch the field right back up again. We'll have to wait to see if we get any more stack-ups, of course. The 152's arrival now. That was the car that Dale Jr. got into the back of on that stack-up on the last restart. It happened right on this lap off that turn. You can see how blinding of a corner it is that you just can't tell when the field starts checking up randomly like that what it's for, where to go, and that's why Dale Jr. ran into the back of him and had enough damage that shedded debris. Bug mission, Talladega tonight. I wish you good luck. Well, the 152 is going to put a bumper to somebody. One of the other fantasy drivers at the rear of the field right now. Still over 200 laps to go. Junior getting up into the car on the outside of him as he accidentally overdrove the corner entry and slid right up the racetrack. He's having to push so hard in this predicament right now. He can't afford to lose points to Bowyer. He's still over a full race worth of points out of first, and with just 10 races to go. Edwards leads now. Bowyer has not led a lap in the early going. He did qualify 8th, so for what we know, he's in the top 10. Junior to the inside of the 152 car. Hoping the 152 doesn't come down to try and turn him. And it looks like Kenny Wallace has just blown an engine, so Wallace is trying to limp his way to pit road. That'll be another spot for Earnhardt. Trying to keep the 152 behind him right now. Junior up to 37th again. Right where he was when the caution came out for debris. It's already 2 early yellows. And another car has blown an engine. So Kenny Wallace blew an engine, and now I believe that was somebody different. I guess it could have been the same car, but I didn't think it was. I don't see anybody else on pit road, though, or on the apron of the racetrack, so I guess it wasn't Kenny Wallace. It was one of the fantasy drivers who had blown an engine. I think that would have been 3 DNFs in a row for Kenny Wallace, if I'm not mistaken, in the Busch Series. Dale Jr. trying to pick him off. Short tracks have been good for Dale Jr. this year, but for whatever reason, he has struggled in the Busch Series at Bristol with his finishes, even though he's had good race cars both times. Obviously, this race is far from over. Had an easy pass on the 119 car who got into the outside wall. Erin Crocker is all the way outside the top 30. She's 9th in points and actually has back-to-back top 5s coming into this race today. Not off to a good start. Lost another spot on the outside. 119 who followed Dale Jr. Jr. staying down on the bottom, making passes up to 31st now off turn 2. And he's got Brandon Miller, who's also in the top 10 in points now in the 29th place position. Junior getting a little tight that time in turns 3 and 4 in the dirty air. Sometimes it moves up the track, and sometimes he's able to at least back up the corners enough to where the dirty air doesn't affect him too much. Really deep dive that time in turns 3 and 4. Trying to stay underneath the 21 of Miller. And he will stay underneath him and make a clean pass in turns 1 and 2. Next car in front of him kind of ran the top side that time, left the bottom open. Junior was able to stick the corner and also get underneath him, so he makes 2 passes this lap up to 29th. I'm sure we haven't seen the last of the cautions in today's race as well, so just got to be on high alert as well as Dale Jr. is making these passes. And the pack of cars in front of him. Furfur Express, welcome into the stream. Will contact. Junior got hung up on him too, and the 119 gets back by. It's contact with the 135. Oh wow, 119 car got loose on his own that time. Dale Jr. never hit him. He intimidated him without actually hitting the intimidation button. 119 maybe got a little arrow loose. Dale Jr. was so close behind him. Usually don't see that on short tracks, though. But he bobbled up out of the way, left the lane open for Dale Jr. This could be a season-changing win, though. If Dale Jr. does come back to win, you're right, no. If we win the championship and win this race, you can look back to this race of being impeccable comeback. We don't know that Dale Jr.'s got the fastest car, but we know he's got a race-winning car, or car capable of winning if he's up towards the front of the field and under the right circumstances late. All over the back of the car in front of him now. All ready to lap 50. Edwards still hasn't caught lap traffic yet with the way the two cautions played out early. None of the leaders have caught lap traffic. Junior fighting his way to the inside. Oh, and slid the tires a little bit going into turn one. He locked up the fronts and car skid up the racetrack. Finally makes a pass. He's got to be careful not to wreck himself or another car, or he'll be right to the tail end of the field again. 21 people watching the early going of tonight's race, 9 likes. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Good race going so far. At least with the drama side of things. Contact, a couple cars came together. Junior sliding. And clear for 22nd. Last restart at lap 27, so in about 27 laps, it's gone from 42nd to 22nd. But he's still 7 seconds off the lead, because the pace that the leaders are running are just as quick, if not quicker, than Junior, who's having to get through a bunch of cars. We'll see how the leaders are going to get through lap traffic when the time comes as well. And I guess there were 2 cars that blew an engine, because there are 2 cars that are on the pit lane right now, so maybe Kenny Wallace was one of them. We'll know if we get through the entire field and haven't seen Kenny Wallace yet. Another car got loose up on the outside. Dale Jr.'s going for it, 3 wide, off turn 4 and into 1. A little bit of contact. Fought his way through, clear off the exit of the corner as they merge down the back straightaway, and Junior's back inside the top 20. He is definitely doing what he can right now. Down to 6.5 seconds off the lead. Have to watch out for Shane Meal up ahead. Obviously, they're going to have to watch out for Clint Boyer. Dale Jr. on the inside of Michael Jourdain Jr. Gets into the 103. Little bump and run under him. Making 2 quick passes in 1 lap. Jr. looking to make another pass on the 133 car. Gets around Trigger. Underneath John Hamilton, who's in the top 10 in points. Junior slides up. Didn't actually touch him that time. Whatever side draft he could in the middle of the corner, and he makes the pass. And now he's got Shane Meal next for 15th. And this is going to be an interesting pass for Dale Jr. to try to make on Shane Meal in the 8 car. In the 32. I said the 8 car because I was about to say we're going to take a field pass for the first time today with Martin Truex Jr. And the reason why is so that way, hopefully, Dale Jr. on his own can get around Shane Meal, hopefully. Martin Truex Jr. currently in the 5th place position after qualifying in 3rd. It's like Casey Kane's in 4th, Clint Boyer in 2nd. I would assume Clint Boyer in 3rd. Bobby Labonte is likely in 2nd, and Carl Edwards is the leader. So that would be the top 5 currently. Truex down underneath Casey Kane, looking to make a pass for 4th place. He's got it. Surprised Truex stuck the corner that low in the middle. So no glitch like we saw in the Cup Series with the cars pitting every 40 laps as well. We'll go back to Dale Jr. next lap as Truex gets to the bottom underneath Clint Bowyer. He'll make a clean pass. That drops Bowyer back another spot to 4th. And we'll go back to Dale Jr. And Dale Jr. has gotten around Shane Meal. Lap 67 right now. It was for 15th. Meal puts the bumper to Earnhardt. Dale Jr. needs to get away from Shane Meal as quickly as he can right now. Meal tried to get to his back bumper that last time, and he definitely got there, but couldn't hit him hard enough to knock him loose. Dale Jr. underneath the 56 now, and he will put a car between himself and Shane Meal now. He's got Ryan Newman in the 39 right in front of him, Ultel Dodge. And Dale Jr. is underneath Newman, looking to make a pass on the Rocket Man. Middle of the corner, squeezes him for 13th. I'm trying not to use the intimidation button as much as I can. I seem to have a lot of bad luck with that where somebody gets loose when I use it and I run right into the back of them, and then they get really mad at me, and then it's even harder to pass them. And it damages my car. There's a risk of wrecking. Tony Stewart got to get by J.J. Yaley for position. Yaley comes into this race third in the point standings, 255 back. And only 41 points behind Dale Jr. Both outside the top 10 right now, though. Dale Jr. has actually got through this field a lot quicker than what I thought he could have. Still on equal tires as everybody else. You can tell he is a man on a mission. He has been aggressive. He's used bump and runs from time to time getting through the field, although this pass on J.J. Yaley for 12th is going to be clean. Tony Stewart's passed quite a few cars in the last few laps, looking to pass another to get inside the top 10. Unless that 106 car on the outside is a lap car, which could very well be. And Dale Jr.'s only 4.5 seconds off the race lead now. 106 just got into the wall off the exit of turn 2. That allowed Dale Jr. to make the pass. Jr. drives it in deep, trying to get to the inside of Tony Stewart now. He is there into turn 1, and Dale Jr. is already back inside the top 10 after just 49 laps since the restart. And we'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Emergency only. Yeah, I'll use it very rarely still. I wouldn't use it at a track like this, though, because if they get loose, I just feel like there's nowhere to go. I like using it on the wider tracks more. Mark Martin in the 9 car. Had a win taken away from him at Watkins Glen a couple races ago. Dale Jr. passed him with 2 laps to go in that race. Let's go on to win what was his 7th race win of the Busch Series season. Dale Jr. is underneath of Martin right now, middle of the corner. And he is not clear yet. Squeezes underneath Bobby Labonte, who's really fallen back all of a sudden. And Dale Jr. passes Labonte for 8th. And there's Kenny Wallace in 7th right in front. There's a lap car on the outside that was holding up Martin and Labonte. Made it a little easier for Dale Jr. to make the pass. Labonte looking to get right back around Dale Jr. Jr. holding him up. Not going to read that other name, but welcome to the stream. Toxic Punk Young Boy, welcome as well. Going to see a lot of action, yeah. Good chance. I mean, we've had quite a bit. Well, we know that Dale Jr. owes Carl Edwards one for turning him, and I'm sure he'll race him aggressively when he gets back up through the field, if he gets a chance to get to Edwards, of course. It was a little less than 3.5 seconds ahead of him now. And we'll take our second field pass of the race this time by. Up at the start-finish line. Truex still in the third place position right now, a 2.5 behind the race leader, Carl Edwards. Matt Kenseth probably in P2. He's the next car directly in front of Truex. Martin moving through the field pretty well. On the inside of Kenseth off turn 2. Kenseth going to give Truex plenty of room, and Truex is going to be clear off the exit of turn 4 for second place. Truex has not led yet, and he is going to get to a little less than 1 second behind Carl Edwards. A lot of clean air after getting around that 17 car. A couple lap cars, though, between the top two. Still, we'll go back to Dale Jr. again. It was still in 7th place and still about 3.3 seconds behind Edwards. Didn't lose any time in that little transition. We are at lap 90. Again, looking at a one-stop race today. Jr. just trying to get underneath the 184. Finally does. Makes a clean pass in turns 1 and 2. 184 was a lap down. And now the 108 car is up next. Casey Kane, Clint Bowyer side by side for position. Bowyer on the outside, Kane down low, and Casey Kane will be clear for 4th place. Bowyer back to 5th. Junior driving it in deep, desperately trying to get around this lap car. The 108 finally clears him off turn 4. And we've got one car down on the bottom. We've got actually quite a few cars on pit road right now. I believe the window is open to make it on field to the end of the race, so that is why we're seeing a lot of drivers pit with just over 150 laps to go still. Three wide into the corner. Little contact. Kyle Busch. Oh, man, caution. Somewhere on the racetrack, our third yellow of the day. And this is going to be very interesting. This is exactly what happened in the first race earlier this season. Big wreck. Oh, man. Kenny Wallace into the back of somebody coming out of the pits, who was slow on the inside towards turn 1. Mark Martin got a big piece of the driver's side door of Wallace's race car. So caution is out once again. This is going to trap quite a few drivers a lap down with the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. And everybody else is going to be on their way in. This will likely be the final stop of the day if, of course, they can make it on field. No adjustments to this 81 car. Race has moved by pretty quickly, even with the 3 cautions we've seen already in the race in less than 100 laps. Got a little traffic jam coming out of the pit lane. A little contact between Kyle Busch and Kenny Wallace. There might have been some cars that were on pit road that didn't lose a lap yet that might cycle out ahead as well. So Dale Jr. was 7th, and now he is in 16th. Oh, spun the tires on the restart. And there is quite a few cars yet to pass, so there were definitely some cars that stayed out that were on pit road when the caution came out that weren't a lap down yet, and obviously you got about half the field a lap down as well, so quite a bit of traffic. Dale Jr. is going to have to try to get around again to try to get to the front, and he has lost 9 positions in the transition, now back to 16th. Get around the 152, who is a rival of his. A lot of double file racing going on right now into the corner. 56 car now out in front. A couple of generated drivers, fantasy drivers that are battling for the lead with 150 to go. We went green at lap 99. Dale Jr. is going to have to go 152 laps on fuel if he's going to want to make it to the end. I don't know that he can necessarily make it that far. We have no clue. A little stack up in the middle of the corner, and that caused for Dale Jr. to get into the back of Bobby Labonte, which knocked Labonte into the outside wall and now back to the 15th place position. Carl Edwards back in traffic just a little bit more all of a sudden as well. Clint Boyer just got around Truex as well as Mark Martin. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome into the stream. And we've got both the Chance 2 Motorsport cars side by side now into turn 3. Another stack up on the bottom lane. They all got bottlenecked in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and Jr. into the back of Eric Crocker as a result. They're stacking up again, but this time Dale Jr. didn't make contact with anybody. He's underneath Clint Boyer. He runs into the side of Boyer. Might have been a little intentional. I'm not going to lie. Trying to see if I can get him into the wall. We got a rivalry between Dale Jr. and Clint Boyer right now. Now Jr. not going to have a lot more space to get around Boyer all of a sudden. Boyer on the inside of Michael Jourdain Jr. as well. Dale Jr. going to get around Jourdain. Boyer's picking up a lot of spots on the bottom now. Jr. overdrove the corner, just kept it off the car. It was on his outside in the 121. 103 car now out in the lead. Dale Jr. still 13th. A lot of the cars he's passed since the restart have been lap cars. Probably what's causing a lot of the bottlenecking we've been seeing. It's crazy how many of these cars are still side by side. Middle of the corner. Jr. looking low. Squeezes underneath Clint Boyer. Knocks him up into the outside lane. And if Boyer can't get down soon enough, which it looks like he's actually going to get down pretty quickly, and follow Dale Jr. now in line behind Matt Kenseth. The Jr. used the bump and run to get around Boyer, but Boyer didn't really lose too many spots out of it, just the one to Earnhardt, and he gets right back around Kenseth for position as well. Dale Jr. up to the 9th place spot. Back in the gas a bit too soon and into the side of the 83. Nothing major there. Makes the pass that was for a position. The 184 car not for a spot. 56 still out in the lead. Kyle Busch, I believe, is the first driver of those that were inside the top 10 prior to the caution right now. And then it's Carl Edwards, who's just getting around Casey Kane. And Edwards obviously has led the most laps in the early going of this race. Got 37 people watching, 16 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome into the stream as well. I'm trying to keep up with you guys in the chat as much as I can. I stress it a lot and say it a lot when I'm on short tracks and road courses. It doesn't matter what the game is. It's really hard, especially in traffic, to try to get to as many of your guys' comments as possible. Seems like a lot of you guys enjoying the race so far. It looks like 160 laps again, I believe. 8 laps to the good. I hope so. So you're back in the gas a little too soon that time. Had to lift off the exit of turn 2. Casey Kane trying to get right back around Carl Edwards. He's underneath him off of turn 4, but Edwards shuts the door on him into 1 and 2. Side by side right in front of Dale Jr., leaving him really nowhere to go but to try to follow the car that was on the inside lane, which he does into turns 3 and 4. He'll make a pass. That was for a spot as well, and Dale Jr.'s back to 7th, right where he was at the time of the last caution. Edwards has gotten around Kyle Busch for a spot. I believe he's up to 4th now. Casey Kane still sitting behind the 5, and the 5 of Busch trying to get back around Edwards, of course. Dale Jr. underneath the 117 into turn 1. Clean pass on the lap car. Definitely knows Kane, Busch, and Edwards are for position. Edwards slipped up in the middle of the corner. towards that outside lane. Junior not quite going to get underneath Casey Kane that time. Junior has not led since lap 9. It has been a long time coming. Just got into Casey Kane off turn 4. Still side by side with the 79 of Kane. And he'll finally make a pass. Kyle Busch going to get right back around Carl Edwards. Edwards spun Dale Jr. out. This is as high as Dale Jr.'s been in the running order since that spin at lap 9. And he has caught Carl Edwards, who is in 5th place right in front of him. And he is not going to cut him any slack. They were battling for 2nd at the time of Earnhardt getting dumped off of turn 2. You can't dump him and bring out a caution, but he's going to race him hard. He's using him up. And Edwards scrapes the wall just a little bit. Still side by side right now between the 81 and the 60. Dale Jr. actually passed Edwards cleanly that time for 5th. He didn't give him a lot of room, but he did get around him cleanly and forced Edwards into the wall, which gave Jr. just a little bit more momentum down the front straightaway, which allowed him to pass him in turns 1 and 2, the very next corner. Car slides a bit wide, opens up the bottom for Kyle Busch. Door got shut immediately, though, and Busch remains in 4th. 3 fantasy drivers, 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field, which have really benefited from that last caution as they were already on pit road. Oh, and Busch tried to block Earnhardt off turn 4, nearly dumped himself, and Dale Jr. will make the pass for 4th place. Aggressive move by Kyle Busch, gone wrong, and he lost a spot. Luckily, he kept it off the wall. Was able to keep great car control after the contact and only lost 1 position. And is still probably within a second in the lead. But now it's Dale Jr., who was the first of those that were in the top 10 prior to that last caution. 56 has the track position to that clean air for right now. 120 laps to go still at Bristol. We are going to take our 3rd out of 4 field passes today. We'll see where Martin Truex Jr. is at. Truex is in 13th following this last restart. So he is still on the lead lap because he did not pit prior to that last caution. But he is out there on the track now. And he's got a position up for grabs right in front of him of Bobby Labonte in the 19 car. Truex 6th in points coming into today's race. A little bump to Labonte. Oh, he got tight. Up the track. Oh, big wreck. Tony Stewart into the back of Martin Truex Jr. And that causes an accident off of turn 4, our 4th yellow of the day. Truex got into him on corner entry, and then he kind of just got stuck on him. And up the track they both went, and then Tony Stewart got hard into the back of the 8 car, more towards the left side of the 8 car, and caused a little bit of a pile-up. Kenny Wallace might have gotten a piece of that one as well. He's been involved in each of the last 2 cautions now. And Truex will have to pit to repair some damage. Unfortunately, he is going to be going towards the tail. Tail of the lead lap, at least. There aren't that many cars for position behind him, though, so I guess it's not going to be too bad for him. 4.6 seconds worth of damage on Truex's race car. It looks like Dale Jr. is still in 4th at the time of the caution. Edwards had gotten passed by Kyle Busch. Well, I guess Busch was still in front of him from before. Yeah, Dale Jr. versus Clint Boyer, round 7, I believe. Yeah, I've lost count how many races we've been rivals, basically, with Clint Boyer. I know he's neutral now, but I think that rivalry is going to last to the end of the year. I don't know that I have necessarily paid him back yet. Green flag back in the air. Truex just overdrove turn 1 on the restart. Drove right up into the side of Shane Meal. We'll go back to Dale Jr. this next lap. Tony Stewart, Martin Truex Jr. are rivals with each other right now after Stewart got into the back of him off that restart. It's like there was a lap car, too, that got around the 56 car initially off the restart. And back to Dale Jr. we go, who was in 4th. So Dale Jr. lost no spots on the restart. He was able to get down to the bottom pretty quickly. The 56 has lost the lead. He's still stuck on the outside. There are a bunch of nothing but fantasy drivers up here, both on the lead lap and a lap down. And Dale Jr. is looking to take advantage. Caution is also going to allow these guys to save a little bit of fuel. Nobody else pitted during that last yellow, so they're banking on trying to make it to the checkered flag without another stop. Contact. Junior up to 2nd. That was a lap car he actually made contact with en route to that pass. And the 135 is for the lead on the outside, and Dale Jr. using the lap car as a pick to get around him into turns 3 and 4. Jr. going to clear the lap car as well off turn 4, and Earnhardt, for the 2nd time and the first time since lap number 9, is back in the lead at Bristol. It took him 135 laps to get back to the lead, but he is finally there. And there could still be a chance he could lead the most laps in this race to get 10 bonus points. He's going to have to lead nearly the rest of this race if he's going to want to do it. At least you can trust Keegan from Ohio, unlike radio station from Cleveland. He used to listen to due to the comments earlier today. All right. I feel like at a track like Bristol, though, when you make contact door-to-door like that, I can see the cars get stuck together in real life, too. I mean, it kind of happened with Chase Elliott and Joey Logano a couple years ago in the Cup race. Oh, my goodness. Little contact. Jr. got the wall off turn 2. The 135 got into his left rear. Luckily, Dale Jr. didn't get turned that time. And also hangs on to the lead in the process. The 135 hangs on to 2nd as well. R6, welcome into the stream. Apex Racing League, welcome to the stream as well. What's the trivia question? I will pause it on the backstretch this time. I will find you guys a trivia question because I wasn't able to find one earlier. So, take a quick, short little break here, and I'll find that trivia question for you guys. Try to get an Xfinity Series Bristol track fact. A little bit of a tough trivia question today. But here it is. Who is the last driver in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win from the pole at Bristol that does not drive a Toyota? So that is tonight's trivia question on the channel. Who is the last driver to win from the pole at Bristol in the Xfinity Series that was not driving a Toyota? Just for reference, the last 3 drivers to win from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Bristol were in Toyota, but who was the last driver not to do it in a Toyota? Bit of a tough question today. I will give you guys a hint at lap 160. Lap 160, I'll give you guys a hint if you don't get it before that. And I'll give you guys to lap 170 to get the question correct. It is not Kevin Harvick, not Kurt Busch, not Ryan Blaney, not Justin Allgaier. Echo Force Racing, welcome into the stream. Not Regan Smith. I don't know that anybody's going to get it until I give you guys a hint, to be completely honest. It's not impossible to guess. I just don't think anybody will get it until after the hint. It's not Truex, not Logano. Not Edwards. Dale Jr. starting to open up this lead now, 9/10 of a second ahead. A little less than 100 laps to go. Fuller was an interesting answer there. He has won from the pole in a Chevrolet before, but he is not the most recent driver not in a Toyota to win from the pole. That was a good answer, though. That was an oddball guess, but it was a good answer. Yeah, not Boyer. R6 did get it, not with the Fuller answer, but he did get the question tonight. It is Dale Jr. I guess we didn't have to get to the hit. Dale Jr. was the last driver not in a Toyota to win an Xfinity race at Bristol starting from the pole. The year was 2004. It's been a long time. So just note, when the Xfinity Series gets to Bristol this season, if a Toyota doesn't qualify on the pole, don't expect that driver to win. It has been 18 years since a non-Toyota has won from the pole at Bristol. Which is actually, if you think about it though, considering it's a short track, I mean, usually you have to qualify pretty well to get good finishes on short tracks and road courses. Majority of the time. With Bristol, not so much the case when other manufacturers outside of Toyota win. At least in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, the one who I'm racing as, yep. Fuller was a good answer, though. He was the third to last driver to do it. Kevin Harvick in 2000 also did it within the last couple decades. Harvick and Fuller were your best guesses. Yeah, those were the other two outside of Earnhardt, but Earnhardt was the more recent of them. We'll alternate through the different camera angles once again today. About a half a dozen laps. I wonder if Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, if those guys can get up here, even Casey Kane, if they can get up to second, I wonder if they may have a shot to try to run down Dale Jr. for the win. As long as those fantasy drivers stay in second, I think Dale Jr. is just going to continue to pull away. The only hope now is that Dale Jr. needs to hope that he can make it up field to the finish. He had a caution where he was able to save about 3 laps under the yellow on fuel. But is that going to be enough? It looks like we have another driver who has an engine failure, it looks like, down on the bottom of the track. And he's trying to make his way to pit road. I believe he's pitted on the front stretch because he did not get to the backstretch pit lane. Might see who it is this time into turns 3 and 4. But he is out of the way and he will get into the pits and we will continue to stay green. We have had 4 cautions so far in the race today. Dale Jr. has about a 1.2 second lead. Can't tell who's in second anymore. It's still the 135 car or not. 1.4 seconds. A lot of clean air in front of Dale Jr. before he gets the lap traffic, but obviously if it stays green to the end, there's going to be plenty of lap traffic before the checker flag. Newman never win from the pole. Just in general? I would assume I would assume he has. I think he did at New Hampshire a couple times. Oh, he won the Brickyard 400 from the pole in 2013, I know for a fact. I know for a fact he won that race from the pole. Because that was his final career pole, if I'm not mistaken. That was his final pole, and then, well, it was his last one with SHR. A 1.5 second lead now for Dale Jr. Just gotta hope he can get through lap traffic well. He did on that restart, at least with the cars that were up towards the front that were a lap down. At Bristol, I am not sure. Well, there's a caution for the 5th time today. This is going to bunch the field back together, and Dale Jr.'s lead is gone. Well, he's still going to be in the lead. Not sure why the yellow came out for that. But the 56 car gets a little bump from Mark Martin in the 9. It looked like he actually kind of came down into Martin. Martin was already there. And that causes a caution. And I don't know what race control was doing there, but that was a caution that probably shouldn't have flown. And Carl Edwards just got to second right before the yellow. And he'll be lining up right behind Dale Jr. on the outside. Green flag back in the air, 73 laps to go at Bristol. Lap cars on the inside. Which one of the lead lap cars will get to the bottom first? Dale Jr. trying to get there, obviously, but there's still a car underneath him. Carl Edwards going to get to the bottom. Dale Jr. still stuck on the outside lane and side by side for the lead between the 60 and the 81. Jr. way up on the outside right now. Not a lane you want to be stuck in like Dale Jr. is currently. And he'll finally get down to the bottom, but he loses 2 spots and is now back to 3rd. Did not need that caution to come out. Now Carl Edwards is back in the lead again. Junior's got to get around him quick if he's going to want a shot to lead the most laps. Edwards has led the most up to this point. Halfway on fuel as of right now, 70 to go at the line. Not sure when he hit halfway on fuel either. I don't know if it was just before the caution or during the yellow. Back to second, used the lap car as a pick to get back around the 135, and Dale Jr. is right behind Carl Edwards off the exit of turn 4. 69 laps to go at Bristol. Dale Jr. going to drive it in deep into 1 and 2, trying to get it to Edwards' back bumper, but he couldn't quite get there and he lost a little bit of ground. Pushed it a little too hard that time. This might get personal. Again, Carl Edwards spun Dale Jr. earlier. Jr. passed him cleanly when he got back through the field that first time, and now Edwards and Jr. are battling for the lead for the first time with each other today. And he moves him! He knocked him up out of the way, and Jr.'s back in the lead. Shuts the door into 3 and 4. Edwards with the crossover down to the bottom. Jr. leads that lap at the line, but it's Edwards now on the bottom, and Edwards runs Dale Jr. up the track. Little payback as he stuffs him in the wall. Junior got payback, and then Edwards just knocked him into the wall again. Good old Edwards and Earnhardt rivalry in the Busch Series. I think we've seen this before. And it was right around this time period, too. Junior is looking low for the lead on Edwards. Edwards just got down to the bottom in time. Oh, bump and run, except he didn't run. Yeah, I kind of washed up wide, and then he stuffed me in the wall. Junior just can't get back to him again. Oh, he got it to stick really well that time. And he knocks Edwards into the wall now. And he might do it again. Oh, and they just wrecked each other in turns 1 and 2. Big pile up now back in traffic as finally some of the cars at the tail of the field are collected as well. I'd imagine the crowd would be roaring right now. That was a big hit to Dale Jr.'s right side, and his teammate Martin Truex Jr. was also involved. I think the 137 was the first car that came in and hit him. That didn't end well. Well, that got heated pretty quickly after the restart, and Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards both into the wall, bringing out our 6th caution of the day, which ties the same amount we had in a 500-lap Bristol race for the Cup Series last night. This one, not even 200 laps in. Ritz and Oreos needs to go back on the car. Is that where the bad luck is coming in? Green flag back in the air. Edwards is in the lead again. Well, it's probably going to lock in Edwards as the most laps led. And we'll see if Dale Jr. can get back through here or not. Restarted in 22nd. He made 2 passes pretty quickly on the restart. He needs to get through this field very quickly. Oh, big stack up off turn 4. That allowed him to get by Meal pretty quickly, as well as the 56 car for position. 152 is a lap down, so there's a stack up there, but it was on the outside, so Dale Jr. was able to pass 3 cars in about 1 corner. Another stack up. That time he got in the back of the 119. Couldn't get out of the way, and Jr. overdrove the next corner, and now he's in the wall. And he cannot hold this outside lane. He's going to get back down to the bottom, though, in front of Shane Meal. Four and a half seconds behind Carl Edwards right now, but Edwards has clean air. Unless he had a couple lap cars that may have gotten in front of him on the restart. It's hard to tell from, obviously, this far back. They are stacking up quite a bit. $50 to go this time by. Dale Jr. tried to dive under Tony Stewart. It didn't work. Probably better he didn't take it 3 wide. Tony Stewart's actually moving pretty well right now. He's got damage from the 4th yellow today when he got into it with Truex. Saw a little contact off turn 4 right around where Ryan Newman and the 116 cars are. A little more contact up ahead right in front of Martin Truex Jr. Tony Stewart got shuffled out of line off the front bumper of Dale Jr. with that stack up a little bit further up ahead when Truex got a little bumper tag as well. Stewart was for a spot. Dale Jr. quickly back inside the top 15. Edwards is absolutely pulling away from the rest of the field right now. Junior drives it in deep, gets down to the bottom, keeps Miller on the outside, stuck behind the lap car in the 113, using the 113 as a pick. It was not for position. Junior just clears him off of turn 2, back down to the bottom. Following Ryan Newman by Eric Crocker. Crocker also lapped down. Right front tire really wearing out on Earnhardt's race car right now. Gets by Newman for 13th. I think Junior's still got to get a good finish. He's got a really fast race car. Him and Edwards are the class of the field right now, but it's kind of tough to tell who's faster. And they're both really fast, and the one time they got to race each other, they both wrecked. Junior trying to come back from a wreck to win this race late. He's up to the 12th place position. Still a lot of spots up for grabs directly in front of him. His teammate Martin Truex Jr.'s made his way from a wreck himself as well back inside the top 10. Give credit to Truex. Have great resiliency today as well. Junior just clears Hamilton, had to lift to keep it off the wall though, up turn 2. But at least he was able to keep the 120 behind him and keep Hamilton from trying to cross it back over. 40 laps to go. We still don't know that the field's good on fuel. We've had 2 cautions since the last pit stop, so about 6 laps have been ran under the yellow. Dale Jr. underneath his teammate Truex is for 9th. Makes the clean pass on his Chance 2 Motorsport teammate. He was also in the running for the championship. Clint Bowyer still ahead of Dale Jr. when we look at the points between Earnhardt and Bowyer as well. Not sure what position he is in exactly, but he's been flirting with the top 5 pretty much all day. Next spot for Junior would be Matt Kenseth, maybe Kyle Busch, because Busch has been stuck on the outside for a while. Now he's got a gap to get back down to the bottom. Dale Jr.'s 3.4 seconds off the race lead right now, trying to close. Adrian K., welcome to the stream. Junior trying to fight to the inside of Kenseth. He's getting into faster cars now. And even with that wreck, he still has not lost a lot of speed. Not 1, but 2 wrecks. Gets around Kenseth for 8th. And have we seen the last caution today? Will we get another bunch up of the field? Seems like the leader's been a sitting duck on most of the restarts, except for this last one. Edwards actually had a really good one and was able to get out in front of the field pretty quickly. Dale Jr.'s only 2.8 seconds off the lead, but he's down to a quarter tank of gas left with still 38 laps to go. That's a bit concerning. Drives it in deep into turn 1 as he gets underneath the 5 car of Kyle Busch. Makes a pass on the 5. That is for 7th. Dale Jr. down on the bottom. Still making passes, a little bump to the back of Bobby Labonte up ahead by the 135. Junior overdrives turns 1 and 2 just a bit. He's trying to dive underneath the 133 of Trigger, couldn't do it. 135 car now underneath of Bobby Labonte. Dale Jr. to the inside of the 133 of Trigger. That passes for a spot. Might be able to sneak under Labonte before he can get back down to the bottom into 3 and 4, and that is the case. So a follow the hole, the 135 left open. Dale Jr. is quickly back in the top 5. Now he powers underneath the 135 car, the generated driver for 4th, and he's going to clear him off turn 2 as well. Clint Bowyer, next car up ahead. He is the points leader. Rivalry between Dale Jr. and Bowyer actually taking a back seat to the rivalry between Edwards and Earnhardt today. Dale Jr.'s not going to have a lot of time, but I think he's still got time to get to Edwards. He's got to get around Bowyer and Kane quickly. Case Kane's got a really good race car. Bowyer trying to get around him for 2nd. 3-car battle for the position right now. 27 laps to go. Kane running a defensive line on Bowyer, middle of the straightaways. Junior drove it in really deep, got it to stick most of the way through the corner. Trying to get the Bowyer. Drives it in deep again. Can't quite get to his bumper, though. Gonna try to widen his arc out a little bit more, and he actually got it to stick in the middle of the corner as well. Oh, and Bowyer ended up in the wall off turn 2. That makes for an easier pass for Dale Jr. Jr. never hit him. Bowyer ended up sliding up into the outside wall off the exit of turn number 2. Lost the spot. 2.5 off the lead is Earnhardt. Edwards might actually catch some lap traffic before the end of the race as well that could hold him up. And now Dale Jr.'s got to get around the 79 car of Casey Kane. He's all over him right now. Little bumper tag, but it didn't move Kane up out of the way that time. Dives underneath him again. Side by side for second into turn 1. Side drafts Kane in the middle of the corner, still side by side off the exit of turn 2. Junior slides it into turns 3 and 4, clears Kane. Just less than 1 second behind race leader Carl Edwards, 21 laps to go at Bristol. They wrecked the last time they battled each other. We don't know that Dale Jr.'s got enough fuel to make it to the end. Has to push. Still got one more field pass to take for about 2 laps. We'll do that this time by... Junior's actually been pretty fast when the AI has taken over, so he might actually get to Edwards potentially a little quicker here. And Martin Truex Jr. is up to 9th place, 4.2 seconds off the lead himself. And he's got 4 spots up for grabs up ahead that I think he can get a top 5 finish still. Truex qualified 3rd. Trying to come from the back after a wreck himself today. And he's pacing a little bit better on fuel, so that might actually help Junior save a little bit of gas as well with this final field pass. Junior is definitely looking like he is the closest of those that might not make it. On fuel to the end of the race. We'll go back to Dale Jr. Junior closes. He's only half a second behind Edwards now. Wimpy, welcome to the stream. Don't wreck him, just rattle his cage. I can't bring out a caution. If it gets down to the final lap, I'll probably dump him, but... I'd have a shot to get around him before that. Big momentum through 1 and 2 that time for Earnhardt. Closes the gap on Carl Edwards. 14 to go at the line. A lot of lap traffic in front of the leaders right now. He hooked on Edwards' bumper. Knocked him up out of the way. Still side by side. Down the back. Into turn 3. Shuts the door on Edwards. Trying to force him wide. And Junior is in the lead at Bristol using Edwards all up. Tires are really wearing out, though, in Junior's race car. 3 of the 4 are in the yellow. Will Edwards try to get to Earnhardt's back bumper? He has a couple times. Actually, he wrecked him once, and he stuffed him in the wall another time. So I wouldn't doubt that he's going to try to use the bumper as well. And there is a long line of lap cars in the way as they come to 11 to go. 11 laps remain at Bristol. Junior trying to get to the bottom of the lap car. He overdrove the corner trying to do so. He's going to keep Edwards behind him at least a little bit longer. Stuck in dirty air, though, right now, and he's having a hard time trying to keep the car down on the bottom of the racetrack. 10 laps to go, and you never know if Casey Kane back in 3rd might have another shot. Junior finally gets underneath the lapper. Gonna put 1 car between him and Edwards. Edwards trying to get to the bottom quickly. He can't do it. And now he's trying to move the lap car out of the way as he put the bumper to him. Lap car shut the door on Edwards, allowed for Dale Jr. to pull away just a bit more. 8 laps to go. 4 more miles of gas is all Dale Jr. needs to try and make it to the finish. I think those 6 caution laps is the difference in him making it, not making it. As far as fuel goes. 7 to go. Junior trying to get his 8th win of the year. This would give him the most of any driver this season. He's tied with Boyer for the most wins so far. I don't think it's going to be a max points day, but it'd be a big win for Dale Jr. regardless. Edwards is still struggling in lap traffic. 6 laps to go, but now that fuel indicator is in the red for Dale Earnhardt Jr., which is not ideal. He is on fumes. Trying to make it 5 more laps. Underneath the 108 car. 108 in the wall off turn 2. Junior's clear. Yeah, we won the truck race with Horn today. We won the cup race last night with Dale Jr. trying to win the Busch race at Bristol tonight. We go for all 3. And of course, Junior winning 2 of the 3. The only 2 he raced in. Edwards got around the lap cars really quick all of a sudden. I didn't even realize that. 2 to go at the line. Side-by-side lap traffic right in front of Dale Jr. Can Junior make it on fuel to the end? 106 into the wall on the outside. Junior has the momentum now into 3. Trying to get around him. Lappers trying to stay to the outside. Final lap of the race. Does Dale Jr. have enough fuel? 3 lap cars between the top 2 as they hit the back straightaway. That is plenty good from here. Dale Jr. is going to win it on fumes at Bristol. And he closes in on Clint Bowyer for the championship even more. Clutch win for Dale Jr. coming back from a wreck to win the race. What a car. What a fast car. I mean, I don't think he led the most laps. But passing as many cars as he did today, I think he deserved to win the race. If it wasn't for those 2 cautions in the middle of that run, I don't know that Dale Jr. would have made it on fuel. That's 6 laps he was able to save under the caution. Well, the 2 cautions. He's out of gas. Out of gas in the victory celebration. He didn't have much left in it. Oh my goodness. We had probably about another lap or 2 of fuel at the most, and that was about it. At Bristol, that's not a lot. That's about 1 mile. Maybe less than that of gas left. Oh, what a win. Jerry Fasnat, thanks for the $5 super chat. Congrats on the awesome win. This race is barely over an hour. Stay tuned. We might have more. We obviously have to check out the race results and the finishing results. Clinton Bowyer fell back to 4th. I don't think he led a lap. No, he did not lead a lap, so that's good for Dale Jr. as well. 1 hour, 19 minutes to get this race in, even with 6 cautions. 21 lead changes today as well. And 0.6 of a second was the margin of victory between Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards. Jr. led 62 laps. Carl Edwards led the most with 135 laps led, but cannot get back-to-back victories on the Busch Series season. Finished 2nd. Case Kane finishes 3rd. Clint Bowyer, points leader, back in 4th. Martin Truex Jr. led 1 lap today, finishes in 5th. Just enough for 5 bonus points. Great comeback of his own after a wreck earlier to get the top 5. Irvin, the highest running fantasy driver, finishes 6th. Bobby Labonte had an up and down day, but he finished 7th. Also led some laps. Matt Kenseth didn't lead a lap, finished 8th, ran as high as 2nd at one point, also qualified top 10. Lance Trigger finishes 9th. Tony Stewart rounds out the top 10. Sweeney led 35 laps. I think he was the one that restarted in the lead after the caution in the middle of green flag stops in the first 100 laps. And we had a total of 22 drivers that finished on the lead lap. We only had a few DNFs, even with the 6 cautions. 3 DNFs today. George Smith, who was actually in the top 10 in points. I think he was 7th in points. One of the fantasy drivers finishes 42nd. And Kenny Wallace ended up blowing an engine after all. Actually, you know what? He was in a wreck. And I think he DNF'd after that wreck. Remember, he ended up getting slammed hard by Mark Martin in the driver's side door, and I think it might have been right around lap 165 when that had happened. So Kenny Wallace ended up wrecking out of the race. 3 straight DNFs for him after all, only this one didn't look to be an engine failure. As that happened with about 85 laps to go. Comeback of the year, potentially, only if I win the championship. Billy Carjoy, welcome to the stream. Rutherford Racing, welcome to the stream. Quinn Half, as much as... Do I hate Quinn Half as much as Brad? I don't really hate either of them. Be completely honest. Well, now we got to check the point standings. Don't forget to... Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I am muting it right now. Thank you for that update, Michael. Oh, I I didn't mean to shut the screen off. I meant to mute it. There we go. All right. So the Busch Series 300 at California will be the next race of the schedule. I don't think I'm going to run that one tonight. If I do run another race, it's going to be a Truck Series race, which I believe is at Richmond next, but I'm not sure how many laps it is. This is a 300-miler. It's going to take probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I have to work tomorrow, so I don't want that race tonight. We are scheduled to run this California race tomorrow, so we'll still run this race tomorrow in its own stream. But I might run a Truck Series race on this stream as well. If I'm not mistaken, because I didn't lead the most laps, I think we outscored Bowyer by 20 points. If I would have led the most, then I would have outscored him by 25. Oh, never mind. I did 25. So if I would have led the most laps, I would have outscored him by 30, but I outscored him by 25. He didn't lead any laps. Maybe that's why. So still 191 points out at first. No matter what, after California, Bowyer will have the points lead. But Dale Jr. does close the gap a little bit more. And no other driver below Bowyer in the standings actually beat him today. The only two drivers that did were Cup regulars that aren't running the full season of Casey Kane and Carl Edwards. So he didn't lose points to anybody else other than Dale Jr. J.J. Yaley, 309 back. He came in 255 back, I believe. So him not finishing in the top 10 was costly. Shane Beal didn't get a top 10 either. Truex got a top 5. He actually moves up in the point standings one spot from 6th to 5th. He's 354 out of first. And actually, with him leading laps, he scored the same amount of points as Clint Bowyer. He led one lap. Bowyer didn't lead any. So they actually tied on points today. So Truex didn't lose or gain any points. But he did gain a spot with a solid finish. Smith falls back to 8th, moving Bobby Labonte up a spot in the standings with Labonte's top 10 and Smith, of course, blowing an engine. Aaron Crocker, Brandon Miller, they were like outside the top 30 all day. They had slow cars. And Michael Jordan Jr. I think he had a top 15. But he is 11th in points. Actually tied for 11th with another fantasy driver, Morgan Irvin. Getting closer, slowly but surely. We were over 400 points back at one point, so it is just a slow grind, and we still have 9 races to go. 9 races to make up a full race worth of points still. It's doable. It is doable, but obviously Dale Jr. with a win today. Bowyer finishes 4th. He's probably going to have good finishes. He's only DNF'd twice this season. I mean, if he DNFs again, that really opens up the floodgates, and that would bring a lot more drivers into it as well. All right, so I'm going to unlock some chase plates here for a second, if I can, and then I'll switch profiles. And I know the next truck race is at Richmond. I just don't know how many laps it is. Guess I have all the Busch ones unlocked. And then I'll save it. So it looks like a spur-of-the-moment doubleheader. But that race did not take long. That's the only reason why. I figured it was going to be a short race. I mean, we started the stream at 7. And it was over at like 8:12. And we got to put the bump and run to Carl Edwards with like 8 laps to go to take the lead, too. Yeah, he was just struggling in lap traffic. Then when he finally got through it, I ended up catching more, got around them with like 4 or 5 to go and put another gap on him again. Jerry Fasnacht, by the way, thanks for that $5 super chat. Congrats on the awesome win. An awesome trophy. But, yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And we'll see what the Truck Series has to offer. I think we have less. Yeah, we have like 8 races to go in the Truck Series season. Another short track. Haven't raced at Richmond in the Truck Series yet. I raced it in the Busch and the Cup Series, and I dominated both races. So hopefully I should be able to dominate the truck race and try to close the points gap there as well, because I believe I'm like 5th or 6th in points right now, if I remember correctly. We're actually more back in the Truck Series than what we are in the Busch Series, if I'm not mistaken. With less races to go. It's going to be tough. California is going to be fun, though. The 2-mile tracks on these EA Sports games, a lot of fun. Michigan was great for about 50 laps until I DNF'd in the Cup race. But then the Busch race is pretty competitive, too. I just finished 7th. I had a pit road speeding penalty that kind of costed me, if I remember correctly. It's going to be, I feel like all 3 series are going to have points battles that are going to be very tight going into Homestead. That week I stream all 3 of those Homestead races back to back to back. That's going to be highly entertaining. And honestly, if you think about it, we're only a couple weeks away from it. I mean, we're probably only like 3 weeks away from that happening. It's going to be a lot of fun to see exactly where all this shapes up. I believe it's a 200-lap race at Richmond. That's actually not bad. It'll probably be just as quick as this race, honestly. 50 laps shorter on a quarter-mile longer of a racetrack. Yeah, we'll run this race then. So we'll jump up ahead, even though we're not to Richmond in the Busch Series and Cup Series. Try to give you guys a little bit of a longer stream tonight, so it's not just barely over an hour. So the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series 200 at Richmond. And we'll check out the point standings before we get into that race. 6th in points is Ron Hornaday, 263 out of 1st. He did win the last race, if I remember correctly. Gotta find my Truck Series stats. Yeah, so Ron Hornaday's actually won 2 of the last 3 races. He's got 4 straight top 3s. Exactly in this order, the last 4 races. Bristol 1st, Dodge Raceway 3rd, IRP 1st, and UPS Speedway 2nd. And he's led over 100 laps in each of the last 3 races as well. So, all on short tracks. All on short tracks, might I add. So another short track here at Richmond. It's going to be a good chance for Ron Hornaday to gain some points. But I'll update the points at the top of the screen here for this next race as well before we get this one underway. Let me get the chat on my phone real quick. Just like their video, that means 4,000 likes on YouTube. I'm assuming you mean YouTube. That's quite a bit. I don't know how many I have. Ever since I started the YouTube channel, I try to make sure I like every single video I watch. And any channel I go back to a few times, I make sure I subscribe. I never used to subscribe to YouTube channels until I had my own and realized how hard it is to get subscribers. So I was like, you know what? Better start subscribing to these people. Grab the pit crew. Push Dale Jr. to victory lane, yeah. I did just that. Too bad there's no cutaway scenes unless you're in the career mode for when you win in the lower series. Derek, I saw you say something about that car crash. Is that from a while back or was this recently? I glanced at it in the chat earlier, but I was in the middle of whatever was going on in the race at the time. Okay, so I'll update the points at the top. I'm not going to update the wins list at all, but I'll update the top 10 and the point standings for the Truck Series before we get this race underway. So just 8 races to go in the Truck Series going into this one. Time is winding down if we're going to want to win the championship with Ron Hornaday. And we're more behind Craven for the points lead than what I would have thought. Now, in the last race, Hornaday won at Bristol. He did hold Ricky Craven back at the end, and Craven actually didn't have that good of a finish. Finished 14th. Got to look to play some of a similar strategy game as much as possible, obviously, if Hornaday gets the chance. Might have to do that with teammates, too, when we do driver swaps and field swaps throughout the course of the race. If any of them are in front of Craven or Chase Montgomery, maybe even Brandon Witt as well, I feel like I can make up the points on John Hamilton, Marvin Sheth with them being teammates. But the other three might have to have a little team strategy go into play here late in the season. At least I have that ability in this game. If this was any of the earlier EA games, I wouldn't be able to do that. I remember the last time I ran the truck series also, I asked if this is Ron Hornaday Sr. or Jr., and I found out like later that night it is Jr. I don't think I re-mentioned that in the chat at all. Because I knew there was another Ron Hornaday. I don't think that ever raced a NASCAR, but I remember that Ron Hornaday was either a junior or a senior. He's a junior. I'll have to remember to turn the game audio on as well. All right, on to Richmond. Got to change the stream title. Should I do it now? Go off. I'm not going to be able to change the thumbnail though. That's the only thing. Go NASCAR 06. Busch Series / Truck Series. Doubleheader. Bristol. Richmond. I have to update the playlist too. Well, I didn't think we were going to be Busch Series and Truck Series racing tonight, but we're doing both. Not because I DNF'd either. That's a good thing. Bruised ribs. Luckily, nothing's broken. I have no clue what to do setup-wise. We have not raced Richmond in the Truck Series. I'm not going to be able to practice. I'm probably just going to start last just to make sure I don't wreck myself at the front of the field. I have a feeling we'll be fast. Hopefully it's not going to be too loose. We'll get the race underway. Not sure exactly who's starting where, but the green flag is going to be in the air. 200 laps at Richmond is underway. Ricky Craven will be the pole sitter from the points lead. Hornet backing off pretty early into turns 1 and 2. 2x2 is this Truck Series field as they work their way down the back straightaway and heading towards turn 3. And Ricky Craven is going to lead the opening lap of the race today. Hornaday just trying to figure his truck out at the back right now. He's willing to be patient. Likely going to be a 1 pit stop race today for these truck drivers. And the 8th to last race of the Truck Series season. Season-long points format, no playoffs or chase format here. In the final 7 races, like there is now. We'll stack up on the outside off turn 4, and Hornaday's down low looking to pick up some spots. 3 wide into the corner, got into Lester. That did not work. Might not want to go 3 wide again. Lesson learned. Cheat codes in the game, like the new running order or the old one? Oh, you're talking about at the top of the screen with like the practice and the qualifying times? I mean, I guess. I don't really use it too much. It's not like an in-game option like it is in NASCAR 08 and 09, so I really couldn't care less. It's nice to see, though. It was nice at the time for sure. Well, more contact 3 wide. That time it wasn't Hornaday who tried to make the 3 wide dive bomb. And the 117 ended up getting squeezed into the wall as a result off the exit of turn 2. Checkup going into 3 and 4. Hornaday making some passes down on the inside again. He knows not to take it 3 wide, though, into turn 1 this time. Keep it at side by side. Oh, little bobble by Terry Cook in the 10 truck. Lap for Hornaday to get underneath him in the middle of the corner. Hornaday back to the inside of Lester. Last time he was 3 wide when he was underneath him. Hornaday's really driving it well in turns 3 and 4. That seems to be his best corner on the racetrack right now. Lester thought about going up the middle 3 wide. Actually, that wasn't Lester. It looked like the 153 truck. Gets by Hornaday on the outside through 1 and 2. But 1 truck way up the track behind Hornaday and may have gotten into the outside wall. We are at lap 10 in the early going. 3 wide into turn 1. Hornaday driving it in deep. He really wants to make sure he's clear. And he is quickly. Before he was 3 wide in the middle of the corner at least. Oh, in real life, I always liked it scrolling across the top of the screen. And a large reason I liked it, too, is because they used to... Oh, man, we've got somebody getting squeezed into the wall on the outside. And Hornaday made another 3 wide pass on the back straightaway. A couple trucks got together and 1 into the wall. But I like the old one because they would show a bunch of stats on the top of the screen as well with the drivers. It'll show their intervals, and then like the second time through it would show like manufacturer, and then the next time through it would show, you know, just other stats like where they started and just a bunch of other stuff. Even like seasonal stuff, kind of like I've got at the top with wins and, you know, maybe most top 5s or top 10s or whatever. Laps led. Oh, and there's our first domino to fall. Chase Montgomery has just blown an engine. He was 55 points behind Ricky Craven for the points lead coming into tonight. And Montgomery is done for the evening at lap 14. And he is going to be the first driver to retire from the race, which means that he is going to finish in last place with no laps led. And he is only going to get 34 points for showing up today. Unless he can get back out on the track and surpass anybody else who may DNF. Montgomery is still on the inside line right now, heading towards turns 3 and 4 as he's trying to make it to pit road. And it looks like he'll be able to make it in this time as we continue to stay green at lap 16. Ricky Craven has led every lap from the pole so far. So Chase Montgomery has blown an engine in the early going of this race. That is an extremely tough break. Contact John Hamilton running into the 103 truck as he tries to make a pass. Might be the 106. Hard to tell with the graphics sometimes. Another truck up the track and into the wall. I believe that was Brandon Witt. Nope, Witt's in front of Hornaday, or at least alongside of him now. Hornaday right in line behind his teammate John Hamilton. He'll clear Witt off turn 2 for 13th. So again, Chase Montgomery second in points, has blown an engine. Another truck up the track. There's a lot of drivers that have been overdriving turn 3. Hornaday kind of skidded the tires on his own that time into turn 3 as well. Trying to take care of the tires knowing it's likely a one-stop race. Hornaday's best quarter, he makes another pass for position. Hornaday started last in 20 laps. He's gone for 36 to 20th. Now, obviously, Montgomery, who was running ahead of him, blew an engine, so he would be one position back from where he is running if that wasn't the case, but still, that is the case. And Montgomery's out of the race. Hamilton trying to move the 135 truck up out of the way. A little contact that actually just kind of stacked and wadded him up off turn 4. Hornaday's got a shot to potentially get around both trucks into 1 and 2. And he didn't have to go 3 wide to do it. And he does clear both off turn 2, and he's up to 9th. Motivating his way through the field right now. We'll take our first field pass of the race today. When we get to the start-finish line, we'll go to the 133 truck. Marvin Sheth, who is currently in 3rd place. Running down Todd Kluver in the 50. Roush Fenway running 1-2 at the front of the field with the 99 and 50 trucks out in front. No trivia, by the way, for the second race. Just to try to get this one to flow a little bit quicker. So I don't have to pause it because I obviously wasn't able to get one. Wasn't totally sure we were going to get this race in today. Sheth has gotten around Kluver, though, for second place in turns 1 and 2. And he is only a half a second behind race leader Ricky Craven. We'll go back a little bit further and we'll see where Kevin Harvick is at in the running order right now. And currently Harvick is in 20th. Just able to get back down to the bottom in the tri-oval with a block. Just realized the Bristol race was 200 laps. Just like this Richmond race, even though this is a little bit longer of a racetrack. Definitely a longer race than Bristol was. Still not a long race by any means. 200 laps on a short track. 110 truck driving it in deep. Really deep. He goes way up the track now in turns 3 and 4. And Harvick will look underneath him on the front stretch for 18th. We'll go to John Hamilton in the 120 truck for the time being. Little block on the 135 on the back straightaway. He's able to hold on for 9th place right in front of him. Hornaday's picked up a couple more spots since the driver swaps began. And by the way, Marvin Schett has taken the lead away from Ricky Craven now. So Schett is out in front at Richmond. Craven no longer leading after he led the first 26 to 27 laps of the day. Hornaday lost a spot all of a sudden. John Hamilton just going to kind of sit behind Hornaday, allow Hornaday to get back down to the inside, helping his teammate out, giving him a little space in the early going of this race. One more lap, we'll go back to that 6 truck. Tight battle for position with a lot of these trucks right now off of turn 2. Mostly single file. Hamilton going to back a little bit off now, so give Hornaday a little bit more room. And now side by side right in front of the 6 of Hornaday. Hornaday sees the advantage down on the inside. Will follow the 9 truck of Shigeki Hattori to get back by the 107. Currently for 7th. Hornaday deep into turn 3 now. Gets underneath Hattori and will also pass him. Gets both those spots back that he lost a couple laps ago. And he's up to 6th again at lap 32. Renshaw 8th in points coming into this race, trying to get that top 10 points finish. Also battling Bobby Hamilton Sr., who she's right around in points. So both in the top 5 in the early going right now. Renshaw looking with a deep dive into turn 1 on the bottom of the racetrack. And she's going to get around Hamilton through turns 1 and 2. All clear for 4th. More trucks starting to run down Kluver as well. Hornaday with a little bump to Hamilton off turn 4. Underneath of the 0-4. Not clear yet though off turn 2. His best corner coming up though into turn 3. Hamilton stuck behind Renshaw, who's still on the outside, and Hamilton and Renshaw are passed by Hornaday, and Hornaday's up to P4. 2.5 seconds yet behind his teammate of Marvin Schett, who leads this race. 35 laps in thus far. Hamilton going to get back by Renshaw as well for 5th. We'll alternate through the different camera angles now for the first time in race number 2 of our doubleheader tonight. $30 likes on the stream so far. Actually, 31 likes on the stream so far, and 23 people currently watching. Decided to add another race onto the stream, means our Bristol race was barely over an hour in length. This Richmond race probably going to be about that same distance as well. Oh, we got a truck blowing an engine on the inside of the track. That was a gutsy move by Hornaday. He had to go up the middle between the blown engine truck of Chad Chafin in the 30, who was not on the apron, and the 50 truck who checked up of Todd Kluver. Hornaday went right up the gut. He actually got into Kluver just a little bit, but how could you not in that kind of a circumstance? Hornaday up to 3rd now. Very lucky not to pile into the back of the 30. It was such a blind corner there when that came up. A little bit of a jump scare. Great awareness by Kluver to miss Chafin as well. Harvick really pulling away right now. If anybody's going to have anything for him, though, it might be his teammate Hornaday, who's probably got equal to the same equipment. Maybe a little better race truck. We don't know that for sure. Considering there's no practice or qualifying for Hornaday, though, this is a good start to the race. I don't think I would have expected him to get up to 3rd in 40 laps. Craven trying to mimic the line of the 2 truck. Hornaday widens his arc, though, at the last second just a little bit to get into 1 and 2. You can definitely tell the 6 is faster than the 99 right now. It's Craven who is the points leader and is likely going to extend that points lead as long as he has a good finish today. It means the 18 truck, who is 2nd in points, already blew an engine. Side by side for second into turns 1 and 2. Hornaday on the bottom, hooking the yellow line through the middle of the corner. 99 of Edwards still up high, and they're still door-to-door down the back straightaway heading towards turn 3. Hornaday finally going to clear Edwards. A little slide up the track off turn 4. I said Edwards, I meant Craven in the 99. Craven back to third. So the Roush Fenway trucks were 1-2 for a good portion to start this race, and now it's the KHI trucks that are 1-2 at the front of the field. Also still early on, not even to lap 50 out of 200 yet. Might as well get another field pass out of the way again here soon, just to get it done and over with in the early going, kind of like we did in the last race at Bristol. It's a little wonky in the truck series for whatever reason, where sometimes you end up getting into a wreck and you're not actually driving as your own truck. So we'll go to Marvin Sheth in this 133 truck just up ahead. Continues to lead for right now. For those wondering, Chad Chafin well outside of trying to win a championship this season. So that wasn't another domino to fall in the championship standings at all. But again, Chase Montgomery, for those of you just tuning in, has blown an engine, and he was second in points coming into the race. Has a few wins this season. Hornaday has the most wins this year with 4. Montgomery pretty close behind him with 3. I believe Ricky Craven also has 3. We'll go to John Hamilton in the 120 truck once again, who is still inside the top 10, up to the 7th place position at lap 50. Renshaw still battling Bobby Hamilton Sr. for position, and she'll make the pass on Bobby Hamilton in turns 1 and 2. John Hamilton down to the inside of both trucks. That remains single file, and John Hamilton going to be nearly clear off turn 4. And back to Kevin Harvick in the 92, who is in 21st. Fading after qualifying in the top half of the field. He was actually in 20th the last we had of Harvick and drove him up to 18th, and now he's back to 21st. Seems to still be free-falling whenever we're not driving as him. Outside of that race at Martinsville earlier this year, Kevin Harvick has been very, very incompetent when it comes to speed in his race truck this season, which is quite surprising considering he's ran all the races and is the only Cup regular. We talk about it pretty much every race. Especially consider the fact that his 3 teammates are 4th, 5th, and 6th in the standings. You wonder how Harvick can't have at least top 10 speed for points paying purposes. And we'll go back to Ron Hornaday for the rest of the race now, as he is 1.2 seconds off the race lead from his teammate Marvin Sheth at lap 55 currently. Looking to run him down. Fought back from being multiple laps down to finish 12th at Talladega on ignition. Well, congrats. Good thing he stuck it out. Hornaday about a tenth of a second quicker than Chet that last lap. Chet still got clean air. Hasn't caught any lap trucks yet in the run. Hornaday about 2/10 quicker than Chet that last lap. Very deep dive through turns 1 and 2. But then he kind of overdrove 3 and 4, and he gave up 2/10 of a second that he would have gained the lap before. It's one thing, Chet is nearly perfect, at least with hitting his marks in the corner, but I do think when Hornaday hits his marks, he is definitely faster. Maybe not on as consistent of a basis, but he is definitely faster. Hornaday pick up 3/10 on Chet that lap. That kind of pace, he's going to get there in about 3 or 4 laps. China, welcome to the stream. We've got fake Alex Bowman in the chat as well. Thanks for tuning in. 2/10 of a second quicker again was Hornaday that last lap than his teammate Chet. As it gets closer to him though, it might be harder to stick that bottom lane if Chet can keep on hitting his marks on the bottom lane. That's going to put Hornaday in dirty air. Trying to keep as low of an exit as possible to keep out from underneath the 33. It's going to be harder, though, in the middle of the corner to hold it that low. That's where Hornaday's really making up a lot of his time in turns 3 and 4 especially. Hey, Alex Bowman got a top 10 this weekend. He's trying. Michigan was fun. Glad you asked. Pretty good race. One of the better ones I've seen at Michigan in person for sure. It's going to be hard to beat that 2021 race just considering I'm a Blaney fan. It was the first time I ever saw him win in person at my home track. For definitely reasons that are totally biased. Chet just got down to the bottom in time with Hornaday right on his back bumper through 1 and 2. Really low dive though into turn 3. Hornaday trying to get underneath of Chet for the race lead. Chet will lead that lap. Lap 65 now. Ron Hornaday trying to get to the lead as quick as possible. And he is going to be there. Clear off turn 2. Hornaday out in front for the first time today. From last to first without any practice. Drives it in hard through 3 and 4. As he catches lap traffic, that's 5 bonus points for Hornaday, leading his first lap of the day. Chet has led the most laps so far. Craven not that far behind him in the lap sled total, and now Hornaday dealing with lap traffic for the first time as well. Probably see some drivers pit right around lap 80, maybe a little after that. That's when the window will open to the end of the race to make it on fuel. They boo Bubba in Michigan. I actually felt like there were quite a few people that were cheering him on throughout the course of the race, honestly, at least in the section I was in. I was too. I had money on him this weekend. He had a better shot to win than Blaney for pretty much the entire race, so I was kind of pulling for him. Even though that would have hurt Blaney in points, he ended up getting hurt in points regardless with Harvick. Man, Hornaday clearing a little too soon on the 119 truck. Oh, and the 119 got back into him. That was deserved. Hornaday hangs on, trying to drive away now. Still has a half a second lead over his teammate. I'm telling you guys, though, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do notice that Bubba Wallace of the tracks I go to gets a lot more cheers from racetracks that are up north, and he gets a lot of boos at the tracks that are down south. And I'm not just saying that skeptically. I mean, I'm saying that because I've been at races both up north and down south that he's not really as hated as, you know, maybe the loud majority or the loud minority seems to make it online. But I will say, of some of the races I've been to so far this year, well, I see that's one thing too, though. I remember him leading late in the Daytona 500, and at Atlanta, it seemed like there were people cheering for him, though, too. It's one of those things where, like, down south, they'll boo him in driver intros, but then if he's, like, actually leading late in a race, like he was at Atlanta and Daytona when I was there earlier this season, then you could hear people cheering for him. It's probably not the same people that were booing him, but the cheers get louder. I mean, still on a week-to-week basis, Joey Logano and Kyle Busch are the two that get the most boos on a week-to-week basis when it comes to driver intros, by far. It's not even close. It is close between them, though. I've noticed Logano's kind of catching up to Busch. I feel like Kyle Busch actually probably has more fans, too. Some of them are younger because of the M&M sponsorship. I don't know how that's going to work out starting next year. I wonder how many kids that actually root for Kyle Busch because he's a driver of the M&M's car. I wonder how many of them actually know that M&M's isn't going to be a NASCAR anymore. That is not the real Alex Bowman. That is a fake Alex Bowman. Okay, starting to get a little bit looser on this longer run, but honestly, he's almost to the end of it. If he wants to split it in half, he can. The only thing is, you really don't want a short pit on a short track. And it seems like it's every race at this point where we get a caution at some point throughout the course of any one of the top three series. And it comes during green flag pit stops, so you don't want a short pit at a short track, risk going 2 laps down. Little 3-wide action in turns 1 and 2 as Hornaday laps a couple more trucks. One truck in the wall hard off turn 2. Gets back into line. And now Terry Cook overdrives turns 3 and 4. He goes up the track, and he might have gotten into the wall. I boo for Kyle Busch. The only track I've been to is Auto Club. I'd say that they did. I don't feel like he got as many boos. That's the only track I've ever been to out west, though. Official Landon Castle, welcome to the stream. Is Chastain booed? Not like earlier in the year, but I've noticed I didn't really get to hear his at Michigan because I didn't get up to my seats until like towards the end of the driver intros. Oh no, it wasn't even that. No, I was listening to it though from underneath the bleachers because they were doing it when it was raining outside. Before it was downpouring rain. So I don't know about this week necessarily. And the last cup race I was at was Gateway. And that was when he like was really starting to get into feuds this year, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what it's been like since his feud with Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and other drivers in between then. Before that, I mean, it wasn't like, you know, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson level of cheers. Those two get the most cheers during driver intros on a week-to-week basis. I'd probably say Ryan Blaney's probably like 3rd or 4th. Some of the other older drivers like Truex get quite a bit. Harvick from time to time, depending on where you're at. Harvick was really popular this weekend, especially late in the race when he was leading. You can definitely tell the crowd was pulling for Harvick late, just knowing that he hasn't won in a couple of years. They were pulling for him. Probably out of just feeling bad for him, maybe. That crowd was cheering pretty good, though, too. That was the most... I've seen Kevin Harvick win quite a bit in person before, and I've seen him win at Michigan. Literally, I think 4 of the 6 times he's won there, I've seen him win at Michigan, and I haven't heard him get that many cheers, especially there before, as he did this weekend. So that was pretty cool. Maybe it's his final career win, you never know. I think he could definitely compete for more, but you never know if that's his final career win. Especially with going winless as long as he did in the same car. That'll be driving the rest of his career. Harvick carrying SHR, he needs surgery. Yeah, I like the ticker on the top of the screen better too, for real races. Lead's kind of fluctuated between a half a second to a little over a 1 second, probably closer to a 1.2 second lead at times. Haven't seen anybody make a scheduled stop yet. Lap 89 currently. I'd imagine trucks, I should say, will be pitting sometime soon. Could be a chance for Shet to try and short pit, get out ahead of Hornaday with a little bit fresher tires if it does cycle all the way through. 153 truck down on the apron of the track. It's the 3rd driver we've seen blown an engine today. We'll see if he can make it all the way back around. I will say the window is definitely open to the end of the race for Hornaday, at least right now. If we did get a caution. Watch a race 2 on your way home from work. Awesome, man. Safe driving, obviously, on your way home if you are driving. But thanks for staying loyal as you always are, Patrick. Hoping nobody's going to try to pit as that truck's trying to get down the pit road, which he will finally get there. So 3 trucks out of the race due to engine failures, one of them being championship contender Chase Montgomery. Next race I go to, Kansas, for the Cup race only. 2nd playoff race, September. Got about 4 weeks from this weekend. I was at Watkins Glen in 2019. It was before I had the YouTube channel. I'd definitely like to go back again sometime, but I'm probably going to wait until I get to every track first. Only tracks I've gone to on a somewhat annual basis of tracks I have been to already have been Bristol and Talladega, just because I love those 2 venues so much. And probably Daytona too, because I'll be back at the 500 again next year. I've been at Indy a couple times now, but they've all been for different things. I was at the Brickyard 400 2018, and I wanted to go to the road course last year because it was kind of a new track, new layout. And I went to the Indy 500 this year. But it wasn't like I went for like the same race every year. Then I was also at Charlotte twice, but once for the Roval, once for the 600. But that's kind of 2 separate tracks too. Bristol I've been to 3 times. I'll be at my 3rd Talladega race in the fall this year. And obviously Michigan, but that's because I only live an hour and a half away. That was my 6th time there this weekend. We do have quite a few trucks on pit road right now as green flag pit stops are starting. Hornaday's got about a 1 second lead over his teammate Marvin Shep for the time being. His truck kind of bottoming out that time. They just got to stay out as long as he can, try to get as many laps let in as possible. And you never know if a caution comes out in the middle of green flag stops. That's exactly what happened at Bristol. Hornaday was able to trap the entire field a lap down because of a caution that came out in the middle of green flag pit stop. So we'll see if that may happen in the second straight race. It's another short track. I like Bristol dirt, just not as much as concrete Bristol. Concrete Bristol is my favorite racetrack. Chet's still on the racetrack right now, 1.1 seconds off the lead. He's also trying to stay out as long as possible. John Hamilton as well. Another Kevin Harvick Incorporated truck still on the track. Kevin Harvick has been on pit road for a little bit now. Probably be on his way exiting pit road sometime soon. Officially halfway in race 2 at the start-finish line right now. 3 of the 4 tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator for Hornaday currently. We got more of the leaders pitting off turn 4. John Hamilton is in. Chet Hornaday, of course, still on the track. Can alternate through the different camera angles. About a 6-lap stretch here. In the middle of green flag stops. There's Hamilton exiting pit road. Marvin Sheth is in from second. He was 1.2 seconds behind Ron Hornaday. Hornaday easily clears his teammate Hamilton, getting into 3 and 4. But we'll see for Ron Hornaday who's going to cycle out first between him and Marvin Sheth. Brian Rodriguez, welcome to the stream. I am not doing trivia in race 2 tonight. I stated at the start of the race, but I don't know how many of you guys might have missed it. I was just doing the trivia in the first race tonight, just so I could get this over as quick as I can. And caution's out in the middle of green flag stops. That's going to trap a lot of the trucks a lap down, and Hornaday will get the pit during the yellow. Our first caution of the day. We got a truck at the outside wall, looks like off of actually going into turn 3. And he got hit by another truck. Actually was in the wall with another truck already there. So a 3-truck accident in turns 3 and 4, bringing out our first caution of the race tonight. And Ron Hornaday will come in, no adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for the 6. Splitting the race in just about half. Went a little past the halfway mark before the caution at lap 103. I'm packing in the hack. A little bit of a mistake on pit road. Looked like the rear tire changer just ran into the gas man. I like that sound effect every time that happens. Just hear, ooh! Like he's gasping for air. It's like he got hit by a truck. So that caution is going to trap a lot of trucks a lap down. Not everybody is going to be a lap down. And in fact, Hornaday actually lost the lead as a result. Green flag back in the air. Second place is where Hornaday will be on the restart. It'll be Bobby Hamilton Sr. who leads. Everybody else is a lap down right now. Outside of Hamilton and Hornaday, I think Hamilton was on pit road when the caution happened. And Hornaday was the only one that's still in the pit. So Hamilton gets 5 bonus points leading his first lap of the day. He's now the 4th different leader. 3 wide in turns 1 and 2. 4 wide. Contact. Chet, Craven get together. Chet goes down the racetrack towards turn 3 as they almost pile up. And the points leader lost a lot of ground. They were 4 wide off of turn 2. The 2 trucks on the outside, the 2 lappers got together. 3 wide into 1 and 2 again. They won't be 4 wide this time. And Hornaday clears Hamilton for the lead, but he gets into the side of Witt, and down into the inside wall goes Hornaday. Got into the gas just a bit too soon. And around he goes. That was a good hit into the wall. Just lost complete control after the contact. Truck just kind of slipped out from underneath him when he went up the track, and then when he made contact, he had no chance of saving it. Luckily, there were only 2 trucks on the lead lap. Some of them actually got their lap back right before that caution came out, so it's probably going to be actually a few drivers on the lead lap, but luckily, Hornaday won't have to lose too many positions here, and hopefully didn't knock too much damage onto the car in which it knocked too much speed out of it. I know Craven and Chet definitely were on the lead lap there. And the green flag will be back in the air. And again, it's Bobby Hamilton Sr. leading on the restart. Still 86 laps to go. Hornaday going to get to the bottom pretty quickly, though, into turns 1 and 2. Little contact from Chet to Hamilton. Oh, my goodness, there's more contact. Hornaday keeps getting back in the gas too soon off turn 2. Renshaw gets by Sheth. Ricky Craven got his lap back on this restart. We've seen 2 cautions today, back to back all of a sudden. Sheth trying to get back around Hornaday. You know, Hornaday's got a fast race truck. He's just hoping that not too much speed got knocked out of it with that wreck. No clean air, though, for Bobby Hamilton Sr. right now. Ricky Craven in front of him. Craven goes a bit wide, though, in turns 3 and 4. Hornaday currently closing in on Hamilton. Hamilton going to get by Ricky Craven in the 99. Hornaday will follow through, so Craven's a lap down again. He's going to be in the free pass position for right now, and Ron Hornaday's looking for the lead. Hamilton led that lap at the line, but Hornaday's underneath them side by side into turn 1. And it'll be Ron Hornaday who will clear Bobby Hamilton Sr. for the lead. Now throwing a block on the backstretch towards turn 3. Hamilton back underneath. A lot of straightaway speed, though, for Hornaday, and he's able to hang on in front of the 0-4. And now Ricky Craven gets to the inside of the 0-4 of Hamilton as well. He wants to get his lap back so he has a shot to win. Good news is Craven's trapped the lap down. Bad news is I believe he's in 3rd. I guess whoever would have gotten the free pass would have had to restart at the tail end of the field. So he actually might be in 4th. If the game gave anybody the free pass. They could be 2 laps down also rather than 1. I'm not entirely sure. Hamilton is able to get right back around Craven again, though. Go back to the far chase camp for now. 78 laps to go at the start-finish line that time. Everybody's going to be plenty good on fuel to the end of the race. Not going to be like what we saw in the Bristol Busch race, the way the 2 cautions played out past the halfway mark. Even though it was in the middle of green flag stops. Just like at Bristol. Just like at Bristol in the Truck Series, too. And Hornaday benefited on both of them. Bristol, it was close on whether he had the fastest truck or not. This race, I think it's pretty clear he's got the fastest truck. Marvin Chet is probably the closest to him, but now he's a lap down. And I still think Hornaday was a little bit quicker than him. To start at the back and still have a chance to lead the most laps and get the win, that is massive for this 6 team. 7 races to go. in the chase for the championship after this one today. And Chase Montgomery, who was second in points coming in, well, we know he's out of the race. Hornaday's probably a little too far back to actually pass him in this race, but he's definitely going to be really close behind him in points with the max points day. 190 points. He can lead to the end. Compared to only 34 for Montgomery, who didn't even lead a lap before finishing last with the DNF. There were a couple other trucks that DNF'd in the first half of the race. If he can get back out on the track, he might actually be able to pick up a couple spots. .897 that last lap for Ron Hornaday, and he's over 1 second now ahead of Hamilton. No matter what with a win, he will move past, I believe, Marvin Sheth. It's either Sheth or Hamilton. One of those two drivers are only 2 points ahead of him. I think it's Sheth. I'll have to wait for the points to scroll back across the screen. Yeah, it's Sheth. He's over 100 points behind Hamilton yet. John Hamilton, not Bobby Hamilton. He's ahead of Bobby Hamilton already. Bobby's 7th, though. Definitely gained some ground. I wouldn't count him out of the championship yet. He's over 2 races, though, out of first, so he's in a little bit more of a pickle. Almost 2 full races. 1.3 seconds. It's hard to tell if he's actually kind of holding up the 99 car behind him or not. We'll see if we get any more cautions before the end of the race yet. There was lap traffic during that very first initial green flag run. So if it does say green to the end, we probably will see lap traffic. Well, Hornaday's hoping he's going to have a big enough lead by that time that it won't affect him any. I can't believe we're going to wreck at both races and potentially win them both. This one's a little bit different. Consider there were only 2 trucks on the lead lap. Luckily, didn't knock the speed out of it. I still can't believe I did what I did and as quickly as I did. I mean, I caught him with like 8 laps to go. I thought it was going to be a lot closer catching him at the end. Personally. I thought I wasn't going to get a shot at him until like the final lap or two. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking of the Cup Series points. The Cup and the Busch Series have 43 cars, so that's why I said 34. I didn't even think about Truck Series only having 36, not 43. So yeah, you're right. And they make up 135 points in a race. Compared to 158. In the Cup and Busch Series. Makes it even harder when you consider the fact that Hornaday's still over 250 points out coming into this race. Still almost 2 full races back. He's probably still going to need Ricky Craven to DNF. It's going to help with Chase Montgomery DNFing. Means he was only 55 points behind Craven. It seems as if Craven has been running ahead of Brandon Witt this entire race. Is probably going to gain points on him. I would imagine Witt will take over second. Unless John Hamilton ends up finishing quite a ways in front of him yet, which isn't impossible. "60 laps to go this time by." And Hornaday's basically just hoping it stays green to the end. There was a caution that kind of bunched the field up when Dale Jr. was in the lead with less than 70 laps to go at Bristol earlier. Ended up eventually winning the race regardless. It's where him and Edwards ended up trading paint the first time. Well, I guess technically the second time. I believe the next truck race is at New Hampshire on this schedule. That is a track I dominated the Busch and Cup races at. It'll be the first truck race at New Hampshire. But I also dominated the Busch and Cup races at Richmond the first time. Didn't run a truck race at Richmond till tonight. And Hornaday nailed the setup without even having to practice or qualify. So if he can do the same thing at New Hampshire, which is going to be a good opportunity to do so, look out. I mean, I think this is definitely the hottest stretch of the season for Hornaday. He is peaking at the right time. Kind of the same thing with Dale Jr. in the Busch Series. Cup Series, somewhat, but not as much as in the Busch Series for Dale Jr.'s sake. But if Ron Hornaday could get this win today, or even the top three in general, it's going to be 5 straight top 3 finishes and 3 wins in the last 5 races. And he's only got 5 wins total on the season if he wins this race today. Having himself a doozy of a season. .2 seconds ahead, second place. Yeah, Craven started on the pole and led at least 26 laps. I noticed at lap 28 he wasn't in the lead anymore, but when I started to do the driver swaps, he was in the lead. But then he lost it somewhere in the middle of it. So he led over 25 laps. So he will get 5 bonus points. 51 laps to go. I think Hornaday's probably led the most at this point. Hasn't clinched it yet, but definitely going to be well on his way. There's no way Bobby Hamilton Sr. would be able to catch him in laps led, and there isn't any other trucks that we know of on the lead lap. Maybe somebody that restarted at the tail after getting the free pass, whoever it may have been. That would be about it. 50 laps to go. Richmond Raceway. I, myself, trying to get the sweep in the doubleheader tonight. Busch Series will continue and a Do It For Dale Series race tomorrow night at California. There will be no doubleheader tomorrow. That will be the only race. It's one of the longer Busch races of the season. 300-miler. 150 laps at the California Speedway. Should be an entertaining race. Dale Jr. 191 points back of Clint Boyer for getting a max points day himself at Bristol. Oh, not a max points day, but a win at Bristol earlier today. Final time will alternate through the different camera angles in race 2. All by ourselves. Tell you what, it's a good thing the Truck Series didn't have to race at Watkins Glen in 2005, because I don't know, those Busch and Cup races were insane, and considering our points detriment, I was able to survive the Busch Series race. I don't know that I could survive a truck racing. For whatever reason, the trucks in this game, I tend to be too tight at times. And I think it's because they're just heavier, so I might put too much downforce into it. Not today, or really the last few races I have, and I've gotten the hang of not doing that. But still gonna have to figure out the intermediate success, or lack of success, I guess, that Hornaday's had on the intermediate tracks this season. He hasn't won a 1.5 mile track yet. I mean, the only tracks he has won, 3 short tracks and a road course. And there's no other road courses on the schedule the rest of the season. It was one and done. The 5th race of the year at the Old Spice Speedway. Still have a couple more short tracks. Another trip to Martinsville. Hornaday won the first Martinsville race. And again, he has been awesome on the short tracks. Going to New Hampshire in the next race, and also have a trip to Phoenix. Hornaday has just clinched the most laps led at the start-finish line that time by. This could be the 4th consecutive race in which he will lead 100+ laps. The way things are looking right now, and that was even after starting at the back. Yeah, I don't plan on getting away from having the points at the top of the screen. At the very beginning of the season, I might do something different when I'm at the beginning of a season, because I didn't start it till I was like in the middle of the year, so it's nice to look at the points then, but when you're like a handful of races in a season-long points format, no, I don't think anybody's really looking at points. I might just have like the top 10 finishes for the first few races or something. Something a little different there. As drivers get eliminated from contention, I'll start to put more stats as well at the top of the screen again. This only allows me to put so much on the ticker at once. I have noticed Bobby Hamilton Sr. has somewhat been closing in. It was a 2.3 second lead at one point, and it's down to about 2 seconds even. It's kind of that point in the run where Marvin Shett, that first run of the race, was catching Hornaday. Hornaday was getting a little looser. It almost feels like the 6 trucks may be getting a little tighter at this point. It has to start backing these corners up a bit more. I think Hamilton just overall is getting a bit quicker, though. I don't think Hornaday's pace has really fallen much. Because I have noticed that the lap trucks on the track map aren't as close behind the 0-4 as they once were. And they got a little loose, trying to get all the speed he could down to the bottom that last time in 3 and 4. His best corner, just 35 laps to go this time by. Not a lot of time for Bobby Hamilton to try to run down Ron Hornaday. Hornaday again getting loose in 3 and 4. Kept the low exit, but that's because he was so bad in the middle of the corner. And they're still going to catch lap traffic yet before the end of the race as well, if it does stay green. I think if a caution comes out, Hornaday's going to pit. He's going to lose a spot or two, and that would be it, and he would have fresher tires for the restart. He can make it on fuel and tires to the end. We might as well. I mean, he's already clinched the most laps led. There's no chance of Ricky Craven getting that, or any of the other championship contenders getting a lap led that haven't already led a lap. Hamilton still closing. Hornaday's definitely got loose. I thought it was getting tight at first. But it is definitely getting loose middle off, similar to what it was doing earlier. In that first run, Hornaday was able to manage about a half a second lead. And that was in lap traffic, so maybe the lap traffic, if he can get around the first couple of trucks, would actually help him. Bichette was struggling a bit in lap traffic. We'll see if Hamilton is going to be able to get through it. This race isn't won yet for Ron Hornaday. It's a 2.5-second lead. Hamilton has closed 0.8 of a second over the last 20 laps or so. We haven't seen Bobby Hamilton Sr. this far up in the running order. He's been about 4th, 5th most of the day. But now he gets a chance to go one-on-one with Hornaday. Hornaday has had the fastest truck all day, but have the long run adjustments during that one and only pit stop, the difference maker, and Bobby Hamilton Sr. getting a chance to win this race. Still a 1.4-second lead. 29 laps to go. Hornaday again kind of getting a little light and a little loose in turns 3 and 4. That was his best corner of the racetrack most of the day, but now it's his worst corner of the two. 1 and 2 he's able to maintain at least with Hamilton as he doesn't get as loose in that corner, but 3 and 4 he's getting a little too loose unless he runs a wider arc, but if he runs wider he can't take the corner as fast, so he's losing time regardless. He's not losing as much time going wider, but losing a little bit. At least he can get more straightaway speed running a wider arc. 1 and 2 he can still hug the bottom because again he's not having problems there. Turns 3 and 4 where he's having the problems. There he goes. Kind of slides off into the corner again. Somewhat on entry, but it's mostly right in the middle of the corner where it really snaps loose. Drove it in extra deep in 1 and 2, and even down on the apron in 1 and 2, he's not getting loose at that end of the track, so he might start doing that. Trying to take the shortest line at all possible. 1.2 seconds, 25 to go. We know Hornaday's going to be determined to win this race. He needs to keep the hot streak alive as much as possible from now to the end of the season. Not that bad in 3 and 4 that time. It's a little bit quicker than Bobby Hamilton that last lap. About 0.2 of a second quicker. I don't know where he picked that up. I think Hamilton just had a bad lap because I don't think Hornaday's lap was that much better than what it was before that. Sure, that tire wear indicator is going to start telling me my tires are probably in the yellow sometime soon. Got a slow truck on the back straightaway right now entering towards turns 3 and 4. It was a yellow truck of some sort. I wonder if it was Terry Cook. I think Hamilton got held up going into 3 behind him. Might have checked up and lost another 0.2 of a second. Hornaday didn't get through 3 and 4 that well again that time. That bought him 0.2 of a second, I guess. And that lap truck, that blew an engine, was able to get to pit road, so we continue to stay green. 21 laps to go this time by. We've had 2 cautions in the race today so far. Will we have a third that will stack things up for the finish? Well, that time it didn't work. 1 and 2 it was working there before, but not that time. It was a bit of a power slide. There's a sweet spot. I think I can get away with getting the left sides below the yellow line in 1 and 2, but I had all 4 down below at that time. That's where it costed Hornaday. See, like right there, that actually worked, and we actually picked up. Well, we're about even, I guess. Three and 4 is just definitely not where Hornaday is running well right now. Hamilton 0.2 of a second quicker that time through 3 and 4. Sails it off into 1 and 2. trying to get the truck to stick down in the bottom. Still closing in on lap trucks at the tail end of the field. Eight to 9/10 of a second is the difference between P1, P2. P3 nowhere to be found. It's one-on-one right now between Ron Hornaday and Bobby Hamilton Sr. Oh, that was a massive slide going into 3 that time. Hornaday hugging the bottom through 1 and 2. Hornaday didn't make any adjustment changes, or Hamilton may have during that one and only stop, but I didn't really think Hornaday had to. But also, we didn't know Bobby Hamilton Sr. had this kind of speed because he was back a little bit further. That caution helped him out. It's crazy, though. If I would have thought one corner was going to be the detriment to Hornaday's speed at the end of the race, I would have thought it was going to be 1 and 2, not 3 and 4. He was so good in 3 and 4 earlier in the run. And that right rear tire is in the yellow right now, so it is starting to really go away on the 6. Couldn't even get the truck to get to the bottom that time. Managing a 7 to 8/10 of a second lead with 14 laps to go at the line. And he really is going to need these lap trucks to get out of the way when he gets there. Another slide for Hornaday getting into turns 3 and 4. 13 to go. Still a little bit quicker, though, than Hamilton that last lap, so the slide actually didn't cost Hornaday any time that last lap. A little quicker through 1 and 2 again. Too much of a slide that time. 12 to go. Wonder if he gets in line behind one of these trucks, maybe the dirty air will tighten him up. Whoa, now he got loose in 1 and 2. First time that's happened during the run. The more he slides in general, the more he's going to wear his tires out. This car is slipping and sliding around at Richmond right now as he's in line behind the 119, 11 laps to go. Looks low into 1 and 2. Just really trying to tiptoe on the brakes and tiptoe back into the throttle to keep the car from getting extra loose as he's underneath the 119. Really doesn't want to get loose with the truck up high and risk sliding into him. Back the corner up well enough. He'll get around his first lap car of the run. 10 laps to go. Half a second lead now between first and second. Bobby Hamilton Sr. trying to win his first, actually I believe his second race. I do think he has 1 win on the season. Hornaday going a bit wide again. Hamilton to the inside of the 119 truck. He's about 2 to 3 truck lengths behind Hornaday now, and he is closing. Hornaday a little better through 1 and 2. Needs to get better, though, through 3 and 4. That's a big spot right now. He doesn't slide as much when he goes wider, but if he gives up too much of the bottom, if Hamilton gets close enough, he may get underneath him. You never know, he may potentially move him. This is for a win, after all. Definitely a little closer to what I thought it was going to be here towards the finish. 7 laps to go. Car length and a half difference into turn 1 this time. Hornaday way down on that yellow line. Left side's below it. I mean, that was a really good corner by Hornaday, but Hamilton is too good late in the run right now. Hornaday trying to back the corner up. Didn't want to give the bottom up that time. 6 laps to go. And Bobby Hamilton Sr. is all over the 6 of Ron Hornaday late. Hornaday gaps him through 1 and 2. Next lap truck is the 117 just up ahead. Quarter tank of gas left. Hamilton closes back in again. Low line through the tri-oval. Trying to take as much of a shortcut as possible is Ron Hornaday right now. 4.5 laps to go. Hamilton looks low. Hornaday with a little block off turn 4 down to the bottom. 4 laps to go. Really trying to protect the inside. Couple lap trucks right in front of the leaders. And they're side by side off turn 4. Hornaday on the bottom, 3 wide, 3 to go, into 1. Trying to get around the lap cars desperately who are on the outside of him. Sends it into the corner. He is clear. 1 truck into the wall. That's an easy pass for Hamilton to get around at least that first truck, but now Hornaday slides into turn 3 trying to get the truck back to the bottom. 2 to go at the line. Big block by Hornaday on Hamilton. He really chopped his nose off that time into turns 1 and 2. Hamilton to the inside. Hornaday up high. Side by side for the lead into turn 3 at Richmond. Hornaday has lost his tires, but has he lost the race? Hamilton to the lead, white flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Hornaday sends it into 1 and 2. He slides around. He's in the wall off turn 2. That might be game over. And Bobby Hamilton Sr. is going to win at Richmond. And Hornaday spins off turn 4. Contact with the inside wall. He'll still finish in second. His tires went away at the end of that race. My goodness. Bobby Hamilton Sr. will steal the win at Richmond. And Hornaday will not get a max points day. That is unbelievable. That's almost like an upset for Bobby Hamilton. Under the circumstances, Hornaday had about a 2.3 second lead with about 50 laps to go, 40 to go. It wasn't super massive, but Hornaday's tires were gone at the end of that race, and he slid a little too far wide. Hamilton got underneath him, and Hornaday raced him clean, but once he lost the lead off turn 4 coming to the white flag, he couldn't get back underneath him. He was too loose when he tried to make the dive into 1 and 2, and when he tried to push the truck over the edge, he just got too loose. And then 3 and 4, he just kind of chopped a little early off the lap truck and kind of turned himself, but only 2 trucks finished on the lead lap anyway. I couldn't really do anything there. I didn't really miss my marks. I would from time to time, but it was because of the tires, but all things considered, it wasn't like I was way, way out of shape. In these EA games, it can definitely get worse on you when you're sliding around like that. And I'd say I kept control. It was either I had to go super slow to hit my marks and give up too much time, or try to find that sweet spot where I was trying to get as much out of it as I could without sliding. And sometimes I would slide, but the times I wouldn't slide, I was still just as fast, if not a skosh faster than Hamilton, even late in the race when Hamilton overall had a quicker pace. 1.3 second margin of victory, though, for Bobby Hamilton Sr. He led just 13 laps today, 1 hour 18 minutes to get the second race of the doubleheader in tonight. 2 cautions for 6 caution laps, average race speed of 115.10 miles an hour, and 9 lead changes total in our second race of the night. Bobby Hamilton started 3rd, finished 1st. That caution allowed for these two to go head-to-head with each other at the end of the race, and we had a long green flag run there at the finish. I definitely would have pitted if we had a late caution. I told you guys I was going to, just because I felt the tires start to go away, about 30 laps to go, and we never had one, and he just slowly started running us down. Ricky Craven led 26 laps today, points leader, finishes 2nd. So Ron Hornaday gains only 10 points on Craven in this race. Could have gained 20 points on him if he would have won. Unfortunately, he did not, though. Brandon Witt ends up finishing in 4th. No laps led for him. He was 3rd in points coming in. Marvin Sheth led 38 laps, rounds out the top 5. John Hamilton finishes in 6th, straight run 3. The Kevin Harvick Incorporated trucks get top 10s. All in the top 6. Deborah Renshaw 7th, Chapman 8th, Cleveland 9th, and Jackson rounds out the top 10. Kevin Harvick back in 24th after starting 8th. He actually qualified well in this race. He just didn't run well during the race. And we have 4 DNFs today. Parker, Tucker, Chad Chapin we saw blow an engine early. And Chase Montgomery blew an engine at lap 13. Finished last. He was second in points coming in. So we'll check out the point standings for the Truck Series before we end this stream now. I kind of feel bad for myself on that. I mean, there was nothing else I really could have done myself. The truck just really went away there at the end. I could have made some adjustment changes during that first stop, but I was so fast in the first half of the run, I thought I'd be fine. Because I was fine on the first run. I held on to the lead. Had about a half a second gap. I was kind of managing on Shep, but I couldn't manage the gap this time. It was just a little different. And it was pretty even on tires to the end of the race from what I had. I only had to run 3 less laps than what I did before that, so it was fairly even. I just couldn't hold it that time. Lap traffic definitely didn't help, but it wasn't like I got cost a lot of time with the lap traffic. Once Hamilton got around me, I'd say the lap traffic got in the way on the final lap, but that was after Hamilton already got around me. Lap traffic didn't cost me time when I was leading. Bentley Potts, see you in the chat. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Well, Hornady's got a good shot to get him back, though, at New Hampshire, considering how well I ran in the Busch and Cup Series races there, at least. So hopefully he could run well there. And obviously Hornaday did win at Martinsville this season. That is coming up in a couple races. So there's still some good races left for Hornaday. He can go out there, get a lot of points, and win. But still sitting at 5 wins, or actually still sitting at 4 wins on the season. He still keeps the top 3 streak alive with a second place finish, though, today. It also keeps a streak of leading at least 100 laps now in 4 straight races alive. 5 straight top 3 finishes for Hornaday. 2 runner-ups, 2 wins, and a third in that stretch. Ricky Craven's lead now is out to 119 points. He came in with a 55-point lead. Chase Montgomery, who blew an engine, is now 170 out after being only 55 back going in. He drops 2 spots in the standings back to 4th. Hornaday picks up 1 spot over his teammate Marvin Shett in the point standings, now moving from 6th to 5th with a second place run and leading the most laps today. He is 253 back. Pretty big gap between himself and Montgomery still, even with Montgomery's DNF. He is 82 points behind Chase. 7 races to go in the Truck Series season. Who will win the championship? I mean, mathematically, Hamilton with the win, he needed that. I'd say the top 7 still will have a logistical shot of winning the championship here to the end of the year. And top 4 are definitely in the best spot right now, but probably going to need Ricky Craven DNF here in these final 7 races if we're going to want a shot. If he DNFs and we gain like 130 points on him, then that means we have to gain 120 points in 6 races, which I think we can do that. I mean, if we just win and lead the most laps, now I know I'm saying I have to win out, but if we could just do that somehow, some way, lead the most laps, win these races, we automatically gain 20 points on him even if he finishes in 2nd and leads a lap. Or actually, I guess he would have to finish 2nd and not lead any laps. So even if he leads laps, 15 points a race with a max points day no matter what. And obviously, the further back he finishes, the more we gain outside of just the 15 per race. So he's definitely going to have to DNF, and we're still going to have to pass the other 4 ahead of us in points on top of it. Out of all the championships to win, the Truck Series is definitely going to be the hardest. But, I mean, that's the thing, though. Craven DNFs. I mean, mathematically, Brandon Wick could take the points lead in the next race, so even if he DNFs, we're not going to get all the points back. We'll get quite a bit. Obviously, you saw with Chase Montgomery DNFing, and he was over 200 points ahead of us. Now he's only 82 ahead of us, so it will help. And I definitely think we could get up to 2nd without any of those guys DNFing these final 7 races. I think I can make up 140 points in 7 races. So yeah, if we could just get a DNF out of Craven, I think Hornaday's got a chance, but that might be the only shot he's got. Well, Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and staying late for the second race of the doubleheader tonight. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Just one race on the channel tomorrow evening, and it will be back on the Busch Series side of things for NASCAR 6. 9 races to go, 191 points separating Clint Boyer from Dale Earnhardt Jr., who are P1 and P2 in the point standings. The rivalry continues as they head to the fast 2-mile oval at the California Speedway. 150 laps, 300 miles for the running of the NASCAR Busch Series 300. So thank you, everybody. I will see you guys. Thanks for your support as always. Like and subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subs. And, of course, on the road to becoming a NASCAR commentator for future races down the line in real life. See you guys. Have a good rest of your night.